Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto unlocks his parents' bloodline in the Forest of Death. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by the SOC Puppet and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Battle Within, Naruto, Bloodlines, by the SOC Puppet. Part 1 Battle Within. Author's note: I haven't read the manga, so all I have to go on is the anime, and what I've read of the manga summaries on the net. This story will start during/after episode 29 of the anime. After that, it'll probably become an AU. Speech, italics thoughts, get up boy. Naruto didn't stir. Half of him didn't feel like it, and the other half felt so battered and beaten, it couldn't have moved anyway. That long-tongued freak really did a number on me. I said get up. If you've got the strength to complain, you've got the strength to stand back up and do something about it. This time the voice moved him a bit. He'd never heard anything like it, with power and tone so strong it felt like a physical force upon him. Gingerly, favoring his wounds, he sat up. About damn time. Naruto had had enough. Who the hell are you anyway? Looking around didn't help. There was nobody in sight. And a strange sight indeed. It was the Forest of Death, where he was taking the Chunin selection exam, and yet it wasn't. He could see the trees, but where there had been light, all was dark. Once shadow-covered areas glowed with a strange energy. In the distance a dark dome loomed over the skyline, pulsing with an unknown malevolence. Sakura and Sasuke, who should have been on the trees nearby, along with their unknown assailant, were missing. Who I am you will find out soon enough. Don't bother looking around for your teammates. This isn't the Forest of Death. Still grimacing, Naruto stood, looking about to place the voice's location. He found it hard. The voice seemed to come from all about him, permeating the almost forest. Then where the hell am I? How long have I been out cold? The voice sounded half amused and half disgusted. You're still out cold. This is all within your mind. And unless you can get your act together, you're probably better off staying unconscious. What's that supposed to mean? Bah, you'll know better when we speak in person. You can see that dome in the distance, I presume. Yeah, Naruto drawled out the comment, feeling a bit uncooperative. You do realize that I know exactly what you think, don't you? Being an idiot is only going to make things worse. If you know what I think, then you know I want you to show your damn face. Stop skulking around like that long-tongued freak. He would have thrown a kunai, but without a target it seemed futile. Want to know why you're out cold instead of still fighting? You can't even stand to sit still and talk to somebody without flying off the handle. Some future Hokage. The voice dripped undisguised contempt. You have two choices, boy. You can find your way through that forest, and meet me on the cliffs near the dome. Or you can simply ignore me and try to wake up on your own. If you really want to be Hokage, to become truly strong, you'll come here and face me man to man. A hint of laughter crept into the last sentence, as if the speaker had meant it as a joke. That got Uzumaki Naruto's attention. Laughing at me? We'll see who's laughing when I get my hands on you. He leapt up from his branch and set out into the forest, intent on finding his tormentor. Okay. This definitely isn't the Forest of Death I remember. Naruto thought about the situation as he dodged yet another pitfall on his way to the cliffs. He'd thought to walk there, to rest muscles tired from coming to his teammates' rescue, for all the good that had done, but was greeted by traps, snares and pits. The trees were no safer, hiding odd, poisonous-looking creatures and all sorts of sawed-through branches and oil-slickened trunks. The voice still plagued him, occasionally making snide comments when he barely managed to avoid another trap, and generally making a nuisance of itself. If nothing else, he was still moving because he wanted to shut whoever it was up for good. Whoops, another one. Hidden under those heavy leaves, almost missed it. He swung lightly around a small sapling, jumping over the rope snare, and focused his chakra briefly to his feet, bouncing off a larger tree, always moving forward. There now, is that so bad? To think about a situation rationally, not leaping in with both feet, half blind, Naruto wasn't sure whether to be annoyed again or feel subtly complimented. If I didn't know any better I'd think you were trying to teach me instead of making my life a living hell. Bah, you think this is bad? I'm taking it easy. If you hadn't shown the guts you did against Orochimaru, I'd not have given you even the slightest possibility of a shortcut to me. Orokivu? That long-tongued freak you keep mouthing curses at. His name is Orochimaru, and he's one dangerous guy. I'm not surprised you don't know him. Your teachers have better things to do than tell you stories about criminal missing means way above your level. Naruto bristled. Hey! I beat that gigantic snake, didn't I? You got lucky! The voice snapped, shaking the air and ground around him with the force of its statement. He was toying with all of you, even the Uchiha kid. When he got serious, you wound up here quickly enough. But that was his mistake. What I mean, mistake? Orochimaru saw you accessing the Ninetales chakra when you went berserk and started beating the second snake up. He knocked you out by strengthening the seal on the Ninetales, which drained you of chakra and sent you here. But what he didn't know was that in making the seal stronger, he also made me stronger than I've been in a long time. If you ever manage to get your sorry ass to the cliffs, you'll find out why that was a huge mistake on Orochimaru's part. So keep moving. Still muttering under his breath, Naruto complied. Not like I've got anywhere else to go. I made it through the forest, you sadistic bastard. The least you could do is meet me halfway. Naruto panted another complaint as he rested on the thin ledge, a few feet up the sheer, rocky cliff. He had no sooner celebrated passing the forest when he found out that his kunai wouldn't pierce the rock of the cliffs, and there were no cracks to pry open. He would have to scale the heights one handhold at a time. A kunai is as much a tool as a scroll or sword would be. If you ever went undercover, the only thing you could depend on would be yourself. So get used to it, and get up here. If you've got the strength to complain, Naruto finished the sentence for the umpteenth time. I've got the strength to get moving. Yeah? I've heard it a million times already. All you have to do to shut me up is reach the top, boy, if you can. The teasing tone of the voice only made him angrier. Keep laughing, Chuckles. Naruto climbed slowly, painfully. Handholds disappeared suddenly, crumbling off the rock face, or just vanishing along with more disembodied laughter. More than once, he fell onto ledges or slid down the cliff until he could desperately hook an arm or leg around an outcropping. His perceptions vanished. Height didn't matter, only movement. Upward lay victory, and every little slide or stumble was a defeat. And Naruto hated losing. By the time he draped an arm over the edge of the summit, Naruto barely registered his success. Shoulders aching, muscles taxed, he dragged himself over the edge to lie on flat rock again, limp as the ramen his empty stomach craved. A shadow soon loomed over him. Not bad, kid. You may become Hokage after all. He closed his eyes, savoring the victory. What do you care? What's your stake in this anyway? Take a good look, if you really want to know. The voice was different now, almost proud. Naruto opened his eyes to see a man in the familiar Hokage robes. But it wasn't the Hokage he knew. This one he knew only from a face carved in solid, emotionless rock, looming above the hidden leaf village. He stared up at a tall man, with spiky blonde hair peeking out from under his conical hat, like a halo of sunlight. I am the fourth Hokage of the hidden leaf village. The man who sealed away the nine-tailed fox demon, and I'm your father. Part 2, The Apple and the Tree. Summary. Naruto awoke to discover a voice goading him on to meet him, in order to become stronger. Once he reached it, he found a man in the Hokage's robes, claiming to be the fourth Hokage, and his father. Disclaimer. As should be obvious, I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for Uzumaki Haruka. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto, although Kishimoto-sensei might as well have hit us all with the obvious plot hammer when he gave the fourth that hairstyle. Speech. Italics thoughts. As shocks go, I've had worse but still. My father? That I am, boy. Pull the other one. Naruto stood between the fourth Hokage and the edge of the cliff, unsure what, if anything, he was going to do. The late Leaf Village leader looked resigned. Hey, take it for what it's worth. Asked the third Hokage. He knows. If you really are my father, then why am I such a freaking outcast? You'd think people would respect me and stuff, being your son. The fourth shook his head slowly, flying off the handle again. And you were doing so well. There are precious few people who even know your real story, and I asked most of them to keep quiet about it long ago. You and I don't even have the same last name. Naruto wasn't impressed with the explanation. More of the runaround. Save me the secrecy. You think you can just show up and claim me as your kid? Where the hell were you when everyone was looking down on me? When they neglected me, or made me feel like I was some curse on the village? You could have stopped it. If they'd known I was your son, none of them would have dared to mess with me. The fourth's eyes narrowed. His voice was little more than a whisper, but it cut the air like a blade. And then where would you be? Waiting to have the robes handed to you on a silver platter, or acting the fool like Konohamaru? Don't just assume things, Naruto. You have a duty to this village to become strong. Not to yourself, not to me, Kakashi, Sasuke or Sakura. The Leaf Village may one day depend on how good a shinobi you become. He pointed at the black dome that pulsed under the cliff. There. That's where the Nine-Tails lives, where I put it. Naruto shrugged. Big deal. If it could get out as easily as you imply, why didn't it come out all the way when I was fighting Haku or Orochimaru? The fourth Hokage took out a kunai of his own and tossed it at the dome. The metal-throwing knife bounced off harmlessly, clattering to the ground. That seal is stronger than anything that was ever done to any demon before. I should know. I came up with it. The Nine-Tails may be able to get part of itself out from under it, and infect your chakra, but it'll be a while yet before it can get totally free. Orochimaru, whether he intended to or not, set it back a few steps when he put his own seal on you. He's locked the Nine-Tails away, so that neither of you can get to the other's chakra. But as I said, that was his mistake. It allows you to get stronger while the Nine-Tails stagnates, and it may even let you get strong enough to beat that thing for good. Naruto looked down at the dome for a moment, then back at the fourth's expressionless face. Let me get this straight, Dad. All the Jounin and most of the remaining ninjas in the Leaf Village got their heads handed to them by this thing. You had to seal it away because you couldn't kill it, and you think I can beat it all by my lonesome? It's complicated. The fourth sat down heavily, still gazing at his handiwork. It wasn't that I couldn't kill it, just that I only saw one way to do it. Seal it away inside someone, and train that person to become so strong that they could defeat the Nine-Tails, and eventually absorb its chakra. In doing so, they would kill the demon for good, and you chose me. Naruto muttered. When you have children, you may understand better, Naruto. I couldn't have sealed it in an adult. Their chakra pathways are already set and would only clash with the demon's chakra. Only a child, a strong child who could accept this extra burden, would do. But who would I ask? How could I ask anyone to make a sacrifice that I wouldn't make myself? I was the leader of the entire Leaf Village, not just my own house. Okay, stop. You're making less and less sense the more you talk. Naruto waved a hand at the fourth, sitting down in front of his supposed father. Just give it to me straight. If you're my father, why don't we have the same last name? Where's my mother? And if you're supposed to be dead, what in the blue blazes are you doing inside me? Naruto watched as the scenery shifted all around him, the trees and forest vanishing, to be replaced by the familiar confines of the hidden Leaf Village. Well, mostly familiar. The monument above the village only held 3 faces, and many of the people and places he was used to didn't grace the streets. The fourth Hokage stood, and pointed down to one street in particular. You want answers? Come with me. He leapt down from the cliff, towards the village, Naruto at his heels. Don't look so surprised, boy. This is Konohagakure from 13 years ago, well before you were born. The fourth smirked, relishing his connection to Naruto's thoughts. He stopped them in an alley, behind a row of normal, cookie-cutter apartment buildings. And here comes that handsome devil now. Another fourth Hokage strolled down the street, dressed in the robes of his office, turning his head every so often, as if looking for something. He stopped as a young woman dressed in a plain gray kimono stepped out of one of the buildings. Uzumaki Haruka. One of the youngest Anbu members in Leaf Village history, she had her own squad commander position by the time she was 14. If I remember right, she'd just gotten back from another mission when she sprung the news on me. What news? Naruto didn't bother looking at his fourth Hokage. He was too busy drinking in every detail about this woman he'd never known until now. Everything from the shoulder-length raven hair, drawn back in a ponytail, to the sharp, perceptive brown eyes and well-hidden kunai strapped to her wrists and ankles. This was a lady who personified both beauty and deadliness. Just listen to her. The younger fourth reached out a hand and snagged Haruka as she passed. The Anbu member gazed on the village leader with a cool expression. Man, did I miss you. Another mission gone by and you still aren't ready to settle down with me? Haruka sniffed. The high and mighty fourth Hokage, Kazama Erasure, begging an Anbu member to leave the ranks? If I didn't know you better, I'd say you just want one less competitor for glory. Well, you'll get your wish, even if it's not the way you wanted it. We need to talk. Erasure stepped back a bit, scratching the back of his neck. This isn't one of those buy me stuff or I walk, or let's go and meet my folks talks, is it? Haruka shook her head briefly, a look of repressed violence in her eyes. No, but before I'm done, you'll probably wish it was. The young Kunoichi sighed, and sat down on a nearby bench. I'm pregnant, Erasure. Given that you warned off every male ninja over 14 in the village when we started dating, I'm pretty sure the child is yours. Hokage or not, trained killing machine or not, Kazama Erasure took the news like any red-blooded man in the universe would. He fainted. And you call me a wuss, snickered Naruto. The scenery blurred again, this time coalescing into a room much like the one Naruto lived in. Erasure and Haruka sat at a small table, Haruka nursing a cup of tea. Okay, I'm still not getting it, Haruka-chan. You're pregnant. The kid's mine. The doctors have pulled you off active Anbu duty, so why haven't we gone to Sarutobi-sensei and asked him to marry us yet? As I've explained to you already, Hokage-sama, you can order me into battle at your pleasure, but last I checked you don't have the authority to go around making life decisions for me. Who said I was even going to bear the child? What? Haruka ignored the fourth Hokage's roar and sipped her tea. It's not like I'd be the first or last kunoichi to put off having a family until later. I don't believe I'm hearing this. Erasure gazed up at the ceiling, as if trying to summon a god, or 3, to help his cause. This is a child we're talking about, not some kind of pet you can buy now or later. And let's not forget that this is my flesh and blood too, not just yours. Haruka's eyes flashed a dangerous gaze upon her leader-turned-boyfriend. I see. So you're volunteering me to go through 9 months of carrying a child, being unable to work, and then a delivery lasting who knows how long? And oh, damn it. I just want you to think about more than the one bloody option. There's nothing that says you can't take 9 months off, have the baby and then go back to Anbu duty. I have to stay in the village half the time anyway. I can take care of the kid. Or you could give it up for adoption, whatever. Haruka set the teacup down and took his hand. Now who's being unreasonable, love? You say you want a family? A child of our own? Very well. There's your pros. But have you thought about the cons? You just became Hokage a few years ago. Between your duties to everyone here, and my being away with the Anbu, who would really take care of the child every day, she ticked off the first point on her finger. Our enemies would like nothing more than to find out what your weaknesses are, so they can ruin you and this village. Whoever watches our child could be an enemy plant, sent to take the child and then blackmail you into doing what they wanted. Could you decide between this child you seem to want so much and the safety of the entire village? Another point ticked off. You want certain things out of life, Erasure, but you can't or you won't think about the consequences of all of those different desires. That's no way to raise a child. Can you imagine what our child would go through if he or she couldn't meet your expectations someday? Not everyone is born a genius. Mr. became Hokage on wits and determination alone. The fourth sat in silence for a while, content to look at the woman who carried his child. When he spoke, it was with the same soft edge to his voice that Naruto had quickly learned to dread. Maybe I'm a little overeager, but I'm not the one who's afraid of change here. Haruka bristled. What's that supposed to mean? Do I want things out of my life, newer and better all the time? Yeah, sure, I'll admit to that. You, on the other hand, seem to be perfectly happy stuck in a comfortable little rut. You're the darling of the assassination squads, the young prodigy making a name for herself. You really want me to believe that's all you want out of life? To wind up like those dried-up mummies on the Elders' Council, who never married or took the time to have a real relationship? I don't want to have a kid like it's some kind of knick-knack that looks good around the house. I want to leave a legacy behind, not just of me, but of both of us, something that represents the best of us, put together. He grinned. Don't tell me you haven't thought what your butt-kicking talents and my brains put together could accomplish. Haruka laughed softly. That's the ticket, appealed to my vanity. Looking at her, the pain tore through Kazama Arashi's heart anew, even in his son's mind. 12 years had done nothing for the emptiness he still felt without Haruka. He's seen enough. Well, I've seen enough anyway. Time to go. Erasure tapped his son on the shoulder. Naruto slapped his father's hand away, unwilling to leave the memory behind, half afraid he'd see no more of this woman who felt so familiar, yet stirred no memories in him. Erasure sighed, regret warring with resignation. Now you know exactly why I did what I did, after the Ninetales took her away from us. This time, Naruto did turn around, clenching his fist. No, damn it. I don't have those memories. I wasn't there. You want to help me stronger, Dad? Then make me understand. Tell me why I'm the one who's borne all the burdens. Arashi's voice was a pained growl now, half fighting back tears. Don't you get it? That was our revenge, Haruka and I. We'd let our child, the combination of our powers and talents, be the one to kill what had taken her life. And maybe, just maybe, by doing so, our child could wind up surpassing us both. He laughed, but it was a bitter echo of mirth. There's a lot of the best of her that I see in you, Naruto. When Uzumaki Haruka believed in something, she never let go of it, never stopped believing. She hated the idea of settling down at first. It was umbu or nothing. But when she started to come around, suddenly she couldn't get enough of talking about what she was going to teach you first when you could walk, or how fast you were gonna become a chunin, maybe even faster than that crazy pupil of mine. Pupil? Hatake Kakashi, born genius, who made chunin at the tender age of 6 years old with yours truly's help. Naruto gaped, trying to match the Kakashi-sensei he knew with a little kid training under Kazama Erasure. You never wondered why he's always trying to help you learn to improve? I doubt the third Hokage's ever told him the truth about who you are, but knowing Kakashi, he's probably got it figured out, and he's returning the favor. Naruto didn't really know what he knew anymore. Between a dead Hokage claiming him as a son, finally seeing his mother, and generally being confused out of his skull, it was all he could do to keep from going crazy. He turned away to look at Haruka. Could he even call her mother? And then at least some of the mess in his head became clear. Teach me. The fourth crooked an eyebrow upwards as his son turned to face him. Come again, son? You say you want your revenge? Want me to become strong enough to defeat a demon? Then do the job you've ducked for 12 years. Teach me how to kill the Ninetales. Kazama Erasure, fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf style, grinned. And it was a terrible sight to behold. Now that you got from me. Part 3, Not So Basic Training. Summary. Naruto demanded an explanation of his birth from his father, and got one, in the form of one of the fourth Hokage's memories, of the day Naruto's mother Haruka told him she was pregnant with Naruto. At least somewhat satisfied, Naruto has asked his father to start training him to kill the nine-tailed fox. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for Uzumaki Haruka. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech, italics thoughts. So what jutsu will I be learning first? Fire breathing? Water blasts? What? Naruto may have been unwilling to acknowledge the fourth Hokage as his father at first, but the prospect of being trained by a Hokage, of all people, had turned him around quickly. Thoughts of surpassing Sasuke's flashy tactics danced through his head, along with a fantasy or two of Haruno Sakura. Erasure groaned inwardly. Teenagers, then he grinned as a thought came to him. Had Naruto been paying attention to his father's expression, his enthusiasm would have vanished in a hurry. Absorbed in dreaming of kicking his rival to the curb, he missed the half-cruel expression that flashed across the fourth's face. I think we'll start with an oldie but goodie, the basic Uzumaki family taijutsu technique. Haruka said her grandfather named this training course the Path of the Diamond Body, Kongu Karata no Michi. The scenery shifted around them both, until it showed a large clearing dotted with trees of all shapes and sizes. Logs and nets filled with rocks dangled here and there from ropes. Bamboo poles took up much of the space between the trees. Were they for handholds? For balance training? Naruto looked around to get a better idea of what he might be facing. He didn't have to search for long. This doesn't look like a taijutsu training area to me. His question ended as a log crashed into him from behind, sending him flying into a nearby tree. Oops. Must have missed that tripwire there, son. Erasure didn't have to laugh. Naruto could hear the undisguised mirth in his father's voice. What the hell kind of taijutsu style is this? Dueling with logs? Nope. I'll let your mother explain. Erasure looked deeper into the clearing, to a spot where his younger self and Haruka stood, facing each other on top of the poles. Well, Haruka was standing, at any rate. What the heck is this supposed to accomplish? I don't feel any more like a diamond than when I began. Erasure didn't say much more. He was too busy dodging both his girlfriend's attacks and the other traps she was springing on him. Grandfather always was a little senile. He really should have given this training course 2 names, one being the Path of the Diamond Body, the other being the Path of the Invisible Body, Mimi Karada no Michi. There are 2 ways to get all the way through this course, from one clearing opening to the other. The Diamond Body was Grandfather's way. Train your physical stamina and toughness up to a level where even these logs and rock nets would only feel like a tickle when they hit you. Who the hell would be that rock-headed or that tough? Erasure had already been hit by more than a few logs. He wasn't in any hurry to train himself by letting them hit him again. Okay, so the diamond body's not my thing. What's the other path? Haruka smirked. Is the high and mighty 4th Hokage afraid of a little pain? I can make it through this course just fine either way, you know. Erasure sputtered a weak denial, flailing his arms in exasperation. That's because you've been going through it since you were 6. Haruka waved a hand in dismissal. A mere technicality. Fine, the other path. The path of the invisible body is to train your speed and agility, and balance, for that matter, to where you can't get hit, because nothing will be able to touch you. Grandmother came up with that when she got tired of having to bandage grandfather's bruises all the time. My father and brother being as macho as they were, I was the only one who ever took her path. Erasure was as tired of talk as he was of dodging traps. Let's see you run this course then. Only I'm going to make it a challenge. You have to get hit by all 5 of the largest logs along the way, but nothing else, and if I see you grimace in pain even once you lose. Of course, I won't be a total bastard about it. You can use all the tools you want. Kunai, Manrikigasari, you name it. Haruka snorted as she walked towards the beginning of the training course. If that's all you want me to do, you'd better be ready to buy me dinner tonight. And not at that cheap ramen stand either. She reached into the sleeves of her ninja uniform, and then into her boots, and tossed all of her kunai at Erasure, who leaned out of the way. I won't be needing any weapons. Then what will you be using, pray tell? Haven't you heard, Hokage-sama? Haruka smiled as she prepared to begin, but there was no humor in her eyes. We of the Umbu are weapons. She vanished in a blur, streaking into the clearing like a gust of wind. Erasure could hear the twangs and snaps as tripwires broke, but little else. There were no impacts of wood against flesh, nor had he expected any from Haruka. He glanced into the area where the first large log was located. As Haruka approached, she turned her body in midair, lashing out with a kick to trip the wire, and then bunching into a tight ball as the log swung out of the trees. When it struck her, he drew in a sharp breath in reflex, expecting to see her feel the pain of impact. Uzumaki Haruka didn't even flinch. She simply uncurled herself, and bounced off a nearby tree, always moving forwards. Erasure just stood there gaping. Something tells me I ought to be damn glad this girl is on my side. The dangerous parts of the course still beckoned, nets and snares awaiting her all around. As she cleared a pine sapling, 2 rock-filled nets swung in from both sides, poised to crush her into a pulp. Even before he could shout a warning, it was over. Fire element. Chakra kunai no jutsu. Twin spheres of energy formed in Haruka's hands, which she squeezed until they formed handfuls of glowing kunai that she hurled at the nets. The resulting explosion reduced the nets and their contents to a dusty cloud, which the kunoichi ran through without a second thought. Naruto gazed at his mother's actions in awe, watching her move from tree to tree like a flash of light. She could kick my butt without breaking a sweat. Because I let her, of course, Erasure muttered. I'm so sure, Pops. Humph. Well, anyway, I take it you get the purpose of the logs now. Sure. When do I learn how to do those chakra kunai? Erasure smiled. This time Naruto actually saw it, and regretted opening his big mouth. Oh, it'll come. All you have to do is go to the real-life Uzumaki training ground and master both the diamond body and the invisible body. Do that, and I'll teach you the chakra kunai no jutsu. Hell, I'll teach you all the jutsus I know. Naruto's face fault shook the ground. What? Don't tell me you're chickening out already. That got his son's attention. Hell no. But why can't you teach me how to do it here? Naruto. Erasure wagged a finger at him like an old schoolmarm, skiing all the while. We're in your mind. Anything I teach you here other than a jutsu would be worthless to you in the real world. Your body wouldn't get any stronger or faster, and your chakra wouldn't increase. The diamond and invisible bodies are for you, and you alone to master. When you've done that, learning my jutsus and Harukas will be child's play. Naruto wasn't sure whether to sulk or to wipe out his father's smug expression with a punch. Typical old man. All talk and no action. No son of mine is gonna get a shortcut to anything, except maybe the back of my hand, Erasure growled. I'll tell you this much right now. We ain't the Uchihas, born with the Sharingan. We ain't the Hyugas either, with that whacked-out Byakugan and Taijutsu style. I didn't become Hokage because of my bloodline. Then why did they make you the leader? Because I was the best at doing whatever had to be done, what they ordered me to do. You wanted something scouted? I could get in and get the information without disturbing a soul. Assassination? I wasn't your mother, but nobody ever escaped me. Bodyguard duty? None of my charges ever died anything but a death of natural causes. Bottom line, if it had to be done, I found a way to do it, even if it wasn't the most elegant or high and mighty means possible. So basically, they made you Hokage because you were a jack of all trades who was too stubborn to give up on any of his missions. Erasure either missed the sarcasm in the statement or didn't care to acknowledge it. He simply chuckled. And boy, did it ever piss Orochimaru off that they chose me. Little old Kazama Erasure, the cause of creating a rank-S criminal missing Nin. Thankfully, Orochimaru only knows you're the vessel of the Nine Tails. Man, can you imagine what he'd have tried to do to you if he found out you were my kid? The queasy feeling in Naruto's stomach said he didn't know just that. Thanks a bunch, Pops. So where is the Uzumaki training ground? And the rest of Mom's family, for that matter? I know you said you were an orphan, but she sounded like she had a big family. Naruto looked over at his father as they rested on top of the cliff again, looking out over a memory of the Leaf Village at night. First things first, when you get out of here and finish this stage of the Chunin exam, go see the third Hokage and tell him Kazama Erasure sent you. Then he'll know I've talked to you, and that I think you're ready to face the challenge. He's got my instructions about what to do, including unlocking the Uzumaki training ground for you. It's kind of a distance out from the regular fields and buildings, just like the old Uzumaki house and dojo were. Erasure pointed to a small cluster of lights near the base of the mountain where the Hokages were memorialized. They sure did love their secrets. Course, that bit him in the ass when the Ninetales showed up. What do you mean, Pops? Erasure shook his head slowly. The destruction started from the outskirts of the village and headed inwards. The Uzumakis were the first to go, because they were the first to get attacked. Gramps Uzumaki bought it first, of course, hard-headed old coot that he was. Gramps Uzumaki had already passed away, so I guess he wanted to join her. Your grandfather, Haruka's father, didn't make it out of the first week either. The rest of them were lucky. Haruka was on an Umbu mission and didn't get back until the demon had already started attacking. Your uncle Satoru was on the other side of the village on guard duty, and we kept him from going to take his revenge the night Gramps got killed. In the end, he got his wish anyway, but at least his death meant something. It bought me enough time to think up the plan that took the Ninetales out. The fourth looked up at the sky, gazing at the constellations he'd long since memorized. They never moved, after all, frozen in his memories. You'd have liked them, I think. And you'd probably have made Gramps Uzumaki proud, as stubborn as you can get sometimes. I'll tell you all about him someday. Right now, though, I think you should be getting ready to go back to reality. That exam's not going to pass itself. Ah man, Naruto laid back down, suddenly wishing he could stay longer, even if it was with his irritant of a father. Bah, you think this is it? I already told you I'm gonna teach you all those jutsus someday, didn't I? But you got people out there depending on you, and you gotta wake up eventually. Might as well be now. Naruto sat up slowly and looked at the bruises that still covered his body. And do what, Pops? Get my butt kicked by Orochimaru again? Erasure snorted. Even I don't expect you to do anything against him. But I have a little something that'll serve you in good stead until you can start training for real. So listen up. This is the Kazama Code of Ninja Behavior. It saved my ass a time or 3, and now it's gonna do the same for the rest of your life. Rule 1. Know your objective. Orochimaru, isn't it? Your job is to get that second scroll, get to the tower, and out of the forest of death. Get away from him, if he's still there, and concentrate on finishing the test. Sarutobi-sensei can handle Snake Boy, if he hasn't already. Rule 2. Know your limitations. Don't go getting into situations you can't handle. You find a team that you don't think you can take, move on until you find one that's more your level. You're not here for glory, you're here to survive, so don't take any losses you don't have to. Rule 3. Keep your emotions in check. They can help, but they can hurt you, inflame your mind. Best thing to do is compress all the things you're feeling into yourself, and think rationally. Only get passionate when you've got no other choice, and then let it all out. That can be a jutsu in itself. Erasure winked, to Naruto's confusion, and then went on. Rule 4. Defeat the weakest opponents first. The credit may go to the guy who kills the leader, but the glory hound who gets cut down from behind by a peon ain't remembered at all. Rule 5, and this is the most important one, kiddo, never give up. I don't care how long the odds are, there's always a solution. Can't climb the wall? Go around, go under. But keep on moving. Once you lose momentum, you might never get it back again. Naruto nodded, listening with a respect for his father that was growing steadily, even if he would never have admitted it. That all? Seems I've got an exam to finish. Erasure opened his mouth as if to speak, but hesitated. Finally, he sighed. God, Haru could call me a wuss if she saw me doing this, but I got one more unofficial rule for you. And that is? Rule 6. Whatever happens out there, Whatever obstacles you run into, don't you ever forget that I'm proud of you. Your mom would be too. You're still a ways off from being the kick-ass shinobi we dreamed of, but you're on the right track. Now go back out there and show them all what Kazama Erasure and Uzumaki Haruka's son can do. This time, Naruto was the one who grinned. You got it, father. Part 4, Reality Check. Summary. Erasure challenged Naruto to wake up, get out of the forest of death, and then learn the 2 taijutsu styles of his mother's clan. If he can't, the 4th won't teach him any of the jutsus he knows. Naruto, being as eager to surpass Sasuke as he is, grudgingly accepted his father's terms, and is about to wake up in the real world again. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for Uzumaki Haruka. The characterization of the 4th Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech. Italics thoughts. Naruto could have been excused if he thought he was still dreaming when he opened his eyes. He certainly hadn't anticipated anything like what greeted him. Where there had been trees, there was instead a flat clearing, surrounded by the forest of death. Orochimaru was nowhere to be seen. On one side of the clearing were the 3 sound nins who had attacked Kabuto before Marino Ibiki's written exam. On the other, the Leaf Village's teammates stood against them, Choji weaving to and fro in a daze, while Shikamaru supported us slumped over Ino. Rock Lee, he of the bull-cut hair, lay unconscious on the ground near them. Naruto turned his head slightly, and caught sight of the taijutsu master's teammates standing on a tree branch high above the battlefield. Uzumaki Naruto cared for none of that. He'd caught sight of something much more important. Sakura lay behind Ino's team, crumpled to the ground, covered in bruises and not a little blood. She was moving, but with the deliberate slowness of someone who has too many injuries to favor any one body part. Her hair, what happened to her hair? Did they cut it off? The Kazama code and most of what he just heard from his father vanished in a red haze. Who the $$% laid their filthy hands on Sakura-chan? Naruto stood up slowly, gauging how much of Orochimaru's damage to him had healed. Inwardly, he cursed the snake-like missing nin. There wouldn't be any repeat of the time he'd gotten angry and wiped the floor with Haku, not without the Ninetales chakra to aid him. Dad wasn't kidding when he said I was on my own for now. He thought back to the Wave Country, and their battle with the 2 former Miss Nins, Zabuza and Haku. He couldn't have won that battle alone, and from what he remembered about Kabuto's fight, this Sound Nin group would be an equal challenge. There was no choice but to team up with that arrogant, self-assured. Naruto's thoughts stopped short as he discovered the person he'd been looking for. Purple energy swirled around Uchiha Sasuke's prone form, shrouding him in an ominous cloud. Naruto's rival didn't stir, other than the occasional twitch on his face. Of all the times for him to be knocked out, he had to do it now. Even when I want to team up with Sasuke, he finds a way to piss me off. So what'll it be, Naruto? Stay here and die like a sissy, or go down swinging? Like there was ever a choice. He reached into the pouch behind his back, searching for something to help him make the first move. Finally, his questing hand closed around an object. Hey, bandage head. If you think you can just pound on Sakura-chan without consequences, you got another thing coming. Naruto raised the clenched fist above his head, ready to begin his assault, and grinned maniacally. "'Cause you gotta go through Uzumaki Naruto first." No sooner had he spoken than Naruto dropped the smoke bomb he'd concealed, and moved his hands to form a familiar seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Sakura could do little but watch as her teammate, and perpetual annoyance, prepared to rush the sound ninjas. Ino's team had failed to do much, and Rock Lee's teammates had done nothing but stand there and mock their enemies. What were they waiting for? Move already, you pupilless freak! Her inner voice screamed. They had to know that Naruto had no chance of winning this fight. Naruto had to know it was hopeless, but there he was, screaming a battle cry in stereo as dozens of clones rushed out of the smoke cloud. Why? Why does he keep doing this for me? I tell him time and time again I'm not interested, and that stupid idiot keeps on being well stupid. A brace of kunai fell into her lap as one of the Narutos sped by her. Sakura-chan. Cover me. We can still get out of this and get that second scroll. She gaped at Naruto, confusion warring with terror over what he was trying to do, and what might happen to him. How? Wait for my signal, then chuck all of these at Bandage Head and that guy with the holes in his hands. With luck that'll distract him while I go take out the girl and even up the odds. Sakura gasped inwardly. But that's not the sound girl, that's Ino. He doesn't know about the Shintenshin no Jutsu. She tried to find the words to tell Naruto, but before she could warn him off, the Naruto clone had already moved on, bouncing upwards to ricochet off a tree towards the sound nin. Zaku laughed, raising his hands as some of the clones came at him. You should have stayed knocked out, kid. Would have saved you the humiliation. Zankuha! Air blasts jetted from the holes in his hands, forcing the clones to scatter away from him. The real Naruto, still hidden, frowned. Can't get in front of him. Have to hope Sakura can keep him facing away from me when I make my move. On the other side, Dosa simply readied his arm-mounted sound amplifier and waited for the clones to approach. If this stupid kid was going to have his clones come straight at him, he'd just oblige and take them all out at once. As Shikamaru had before him, Naruto paid attention to Dosu's actions. Forget directions, I can't even get near Bandage Head. If Kabuto could dodge a punch and still get hurt, I'm in no position to risk it either. The Kazama code came back to him, and one rule in particular, defeat the weakest first. The Sound Mean girl was just standing there, as if unsure what to do. Ruse or not, she looked like the weak link, and Naruto wasn't in the mood to think it over. As he'd learned from years of pulling pranks in the village, when it came to harebrained schemes, it was best to trust your gut. The girl would be his target. Sakura. Do it now! A last group of 10 Narutos detached themselves from the shadows surrounding Kin and Ino, behind Dosu and Zaku, falling toward the entranced Sound Nin. Sakura lay there, paralyzed for a brief moment, and then there was no other choice. Hurling the kunai in either direction, she screamed a warning to her longtime rival. Ino! Get out of there! He didn't see you take over her body. Realizing the danger, Shikamaru quickly scrambled back to teammates' hiding spot, dragging Ino's unconscious body with him. Choji, get over here! We're hiding! Their chubby teammate leaped to safety as Ino made Kin's body form the seal to release her soul. As Ino returned to her body, the Sound Nin slumped bonelessly to the ground. Sakura's warning had worked, saving Ino from further injury, and possibly death. It had also left Naruto hanging in midair like a hooked fish, his intended landing point gone. Dosu and Zaku, realizing their mistake, dodged Sakura's meager distraction and turned their attention to the real Naruto behind them. Ah crud, this is gonna hurt. Naruto! Sakura screamed as she watched a Zankoha send her teammate flying into the tree behind Kin's body. Sakai, Sakura-chan, this nice hard Naruto weaved about dizzily, feeling for something to support himself, and reaching the tree trunk. Tree broke my fall. He took a moment to gather his bearings, and then looked back at Dosu and Zaku. Heh. That all you got, Bandage Head? Inwardly, he was seething. So much for that plan, idiot. The element of surprise was all you had, and it's gone. He closed his eyes, until something snapped him to attention. Never give up. There's always a solution. Sunlight gleamed off the sound amplifier on Dosu's arm, a flash of light like a bright star in the clearing. The other one has M built in. If I take out one arm, he can still point the other at me. Bandage Head has to take a swing with that glorified cheese grater if he wants to do any damage. Take the arm away, and you take his power away. But how can I do that if I can't get close to him? A little breeze blew into the clearing, ruffling his hair. Suddenly he knew how. 1,000,000 to 1 shot, but heck, you only live once. Without the Ninetales reserve of chakra, he couldn't have attempted this foolhardy idea more than once anyway. Gathering his strength anew, he grinned madly, pushing off the tree and rushing at Zaku. If that's all you got, then you're going down, freaks? Again, his hands came together in his favorite seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. A line of Naruto streaked across the clearing, aimed directly at the Sound Nin master of air pressure. Dosu roared a curse at the Leaf Ninja's audacity, moving to intercept the real Naruto. Ignore me, you punk? Zaku. Send this fool over here, so I can teach him a lesson. His teammates' mad laughter followed. You'll have to take him in pieces, Dosu. Zaku stretched his arms out and pointed both at Naruto, grinning as crazily as his opponent. Ultimate Zankoha. Naruto exulted, even as the massive shockwave approached. Idiots! You actually fell for it. This time, when his hands met, Sakura's eyes widened. Those sealed, what is he trying to do? She soon had her answer. Each of the clone Narutos vanished as the shockwave hit them, until only the real Naruto, last in line, remained. Spinning as tightly as he could, he released the last of his kunai and shuriken into the path of the ultimate Zankoha, and then vanished in a cloud of smoke, leaving behind a simple log. Sakura gasped. Kawarimi no Jutsu. Then the kunai. With no obstacles in their path, the throwing weapons were caught in Zaku's attack, and thrown directly at Dosu, momentum still taking him towards the place where Naruto would have been blown. Too late, Dosu realized what the Leaf Nin had intended to do by ignoring him, goad him into attacking. Arm already outstretched, prepared to throw his sound attack, the Sound Nin team leader was barely able to fire off one last wave before he felt dozens of sharp, piercing impacts all along his right arm and shoulder, the kunai and shuriken driven deep into his flesh by the force of the ultimate Zankoha. Dosu's tortured scream rang through the clearing as he hit the ground, clutching the limp, bloody wreck of his arm to his stomach. Naruto never had the chance to celebrate his success. Even as he turned to think of a strategy to defeat Zaku, Dosu's final attack washed over him, turning the world into a sickly image of itself, his vision swirling like a whirlpool. His head was a mad carnival of noise, ears ringing as though they were the top of a bell tower. Naruto fell to his knees, writhing in agony. Years later, Sakura still did not know whether it was frustration, panic, or even, God forbid, love, that had made her open her big mouth at that very moment, when she saw Naruto laid low. All the pink-haired Kunoichi knew was that Naruto had rushed into the fray like the hot-headed, hyperactive ninja Kakashi said he was, and was now about to get his butt kicked by the last Sound Nin standing. The fact that she'd helped put him into this predicament by failing to warn him quickly enough about Ino was temporarily forgotten. Naruto, you idiot! What do you think you're doing? There's no way you can beat those three. Without even as the words left her mouth, she knew she'd made a huge mistake. The end of the sentence hung in the air, unfinished, but both Sakura and Naruto knew what it would have been. There's no way you can beat those three without Sasuke-kun. Naruto, who had been struggling to rise, stopped short and turned to stare, wide-eyed, at his crush. The kicker is she's probably right. I can barely stand up straight, and I've got almost no chakra left. He wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry. Doesn't make it any easier hearing that. Naruto didn't have to say it. The betrayal and hurt in his eyes said it all to Sakura. What the hell were you thinking? For once, it seemed her inner self had sided with the spiky blonde ninja. She covered her mouth with her hands, as if to stifle any further talk. Looking back to Zaku, Naruto winced. This was a great idea, all right. Get hung out to dry by Ino, blown into trees, miss getting hit by a humongous wind blast, then get my head scrambled by Bandage Head. And for what? So Sakura-chan could remind me that I still suck compared to Sasuke? Sakura. Naruto stopped cursing himself as the voice spoke from behind Sakura. The kunoichi turned around quickly, hearing the familiar voice of her crush, but her joy was short-lived. Sasuke rose slowly, still surrounded by the purple energy of the cursed seal. A red, was it a rash? Spread out over the left side of his body, forming an odd tattoo-like pattern of black dots on his face, leg and arm. Sakura, what did that to you? Who? It was Uchiha Sasuke, and yet it wasn't. Even Naruto couldn't recognize the tone of voice, menace implied in every word. The Sasuke he knew was arrogant, even flippant when facing an enemy, but had never sounded quite so foul before. What did Orochimaru do to them when I was out cold? Dosu rose to one knee, still cradling his useless arm. If Naruto had been a lucky victor, Sasuke represented a genuine threat. The waves of pure power emanating from the Leaf Nin's body wouldn't have been reassuring even if he had been able to fight. Now, after Naruto's handiwork, Sokka was the only one who could carry out the mission Orochimaru had given them. The cursed Zelto actually get up from it? Sakura, tell me. Who was the one that hurt you? Dosu watched in horror as Zaku pointed a thumb at his chest. It was me. Fool. Do you realize what you've just done? Sasuke turned to face Zaku. As he did, the malevolent-looking seal spread to cover his entire body. Dosu recoiled. His chakra is too great. Zaku didn't seem to notice, bringing his hands together and psyching himself up. Dosu. What's there to fear from some half-dead freak? The Leaf Nins were all lined up, Sasuke having moved in front of Naruto, who himself shielded Sakura. They're all together. I'll take care of them all. Ultimate Zankuha. Anything Dosu could have said to stop him was lost. Another massive air blast screamed through the clearing, cutting a deep trench in the earth. Everyone in the clearing shielded themselves from the backwash. When the wind stopped, all that remained where Team 7 had been was an empty gash in the ground. Were they blown to pieces? Zaku stared at his handiwork, gloating over his success. Were who? He had no time to turn before a hand smashed into his back, tossing him across the clearing like a rag doll. Dosu looked up to see Sasuke with an arm outstretched, Naruto and Sakura behind him. Zaku. He's too fast. To move out of the way while carrying those two, the terror built within him, freezing him in place, waiting for the next blow to fall. Behind Sasuke, Naruto too was frozen, but for a different reason. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Typical Sasuke, riding in like the damn cavalry. Let's see you try that after Bandage Head hit you like me and Kabuto. Naruto looked up, staring at his rival's back, and suddenly the anger drained out of him, leaving only a bone-deep weariness. Yes, he supposed he was tired at that. Tired of being the one to stare at Sasuke's back all the time, of being ignored, disparaged, insulted. Tired of always having to play catch-up. Some Hokage's son you turned out to be. He would have cried tears of shame, had he the strength even for that, and then the memories flashed before his eyes, his parents' faces clearer than ever before. Is the high and mighty fourth Hokage afraid of a little pain? We are the weapons. You're still a ways off, but you're on the right track. No. Tired or not, beaten, bruised, or not, he was the son of Kazama Erasure. Of Uzumaki Haruka. To give up on himself now would be the ultimate act of disrespect to both of them. Naruto might not have known Erasure or Haruka for more than a day, but he refused to disgrace his parents any further than he already had. Fatigue vanished, to be replaced by his father's voice. Know your objective. The Sound Nin scroll was theirs anyway. Sasuke would have no trouble dispatching Zaku in this superpowered state. The girl was unconscious, and Dosu was little more than a cripple. All that remained was to get to the central tower, give the 2 scrolls to Enko-sensei, and then I'll take the first step towards never having to see your back again. When that happens, we'll see who's got whose bloodline beat. The respect he held for his teammate only went so far, and right now it was at its breaking point. If he wants to play hero, let him. I'll get my day soon enough. Only heroism didn't seem to be on Uchiha Sasuke's mind at the moment. Fire element. Mythical fire flower, Hausenka. A quick sequence of seals and fireballs streaked from Sasuke towards Zaku, who sneered. So what? I'll blast them away. A Zankuha quickly dispatched the flames, but not the shuriken hidden within them. Unable to react quickly enough, he could only raise his hands to protect himself from the rain of metal death. Even that gesture would prove futile. Dosu's warning came too late to save his comrade from Sasuke's true attack. Zaku! Below! The sound nin caught only a flash of blue clothing streaking by before his arms were yanked behind him, and a boot thumped into his back. Naruto, Sakura, and all gathered looked on in shock as an odd grin appeared on Sasuke's face. So you're proud of these 2 arms? Zaku's face twisted into a pitiful mixture of fear and helplessness. Stop! As well tell the earth not to spin, or wind not to blow. Sasuke's horrific smile only widened as he pulled the sound nin's arms backwards. The sickening crack of bone told everyone what had happened. Zaku's scream was simply the chilling confirmation. Sasuke let his broken foe drop and turned his eyes on Dosu, still frozen in place, shuddering as he beheld Zaku's fate. You're the only one left. I hope you let me have some fun. He began to walk towards the sound nin. That's not Sasuke. Not the one I know. All events considered, Naruto and Sakura would have been surprised to find out they were thinking the exact same thing at that moment. Only the kunoichi did anything about it. Ignoring her wounds, she rose and threw herself at Sasuke from behind, clasping him tightly. Stop, please. Just stop. Her tears had the desired effect, as the curse seal began to recede, fading from Sasuke's body, and the Uchiha boy slumped to the ground, gasping for breath. Naruto turned away, biting back a curse. He'd seen enough of both of them today to last him a good long while. You're strong. Sasuke-kun, we can't defeat you at this time, so here's a gift for you. I'll promise you this, if there's another situation where we meet in this exam, we will either run nor hide. Dosu had left those words, and a scroll of earth, before seizing the opportunity to escape with the wounded Zaku and Kin. Ino's team, satisfied that all was as well as it would get, prepared to leave, as did Niji and Tenten, shouldering Rock Lee's limp form. All of them accepted Team 7's profuse thanks. Naruto gladly admitted that he'd not have survived to defeat Dosu without their help. In the meantime, he again had cause to curse Orochimaru, as the tale of the lost scroll of heaven was related to him. The Uzumaki training ground would remain locked a little while longer, until they could find another team with the second scroll. He bit his words off in grudging acceptance. Fine. We should get moving then. Every team in range is going to come through here, trying to find out what happened. We'd be too easy a target if we stayed. Swiveling on one heel, he strode into the forest again, followed by his teammates. Too engrossed in cursing his fate, he missed the 2 pairs of eyes that followed his disappearing form with an interest and curiosity they had never held before. Night fell quickly as Team 7 advanced. Soon enough, their visibility fell to nothing, and shelter was hastily arranged under another giant canopy of roots. Sasuke, still exhausted from the day's events, quickly fell asleep. Naruto? We should talk. Sakura had been going over the words in her head as they walked, but the time hadn't seemed right to try and apologize. Naruto hadn't spoken to anyone since they'd left the clearing, keeping his attention firmly focused on their surroundings and searching for enemies. Now he was perched on one of the roots that formed their shelter, looking everywhere but back at her. Silence blanketed the shelter for a long moment. What's there to talk about? I screwed up. Sasuke saved the day. We're back to square one. Business as usual. Sakura almost missed his low growl, not used to hearing Naruto do anything but shout. Before she could respond, he shrugged his shoulders. Get some rest. We'll take turns standing guard. Call it 3 or 4 hours to a watch. I'll take first watch. For a moment, Sakura thought Sasuke had somehow invaded Naruto's body. The cold indifference in his voice reminded her more of Sasuke's usual attitude towards her advances than the never-ending declarations of love she was accustomed to hearing from the hyperactive ninja. But why did she even care what he thought? Why did this sudden shift in his personality stir an empty feeling inside her? But Naruto, you're hurt from just now, and from Orochimaru. Shouldn't you sleep first? He spoke again, back still turned to her. I've been asleep long enough. The odd tone of his voice made her pause, wondering what hidden meaning it carried. Rest. I'll wake you when it's your turn. Not daring to challenge his order, Sakura settled back down under the tree, next to Sasuke. As she fell into an uneasy sleep, she couldn't help but feel as though a gap had suddenly opened between all of them, one that was widening by the day. Naruto listened until he heard Sakura's breath even out, making sure she was asleep. Then he turned his senses back outwards into the forest, still keeping his objectives in mind. Only when they acquired their second scroll would the real journey begin. Until then, he'd bide his time and do the job he had been assigned. Just as Erasure would have done. Part 5, Letting Go. Summary. Naruto awoke in the middle of a huge battle between the Leaf and the Sound Ninjas, and nearly went berserk upon seeing Sakura's injuries at Sokka's hands. Jumping into the fight, he managed to defeat Dosu, with Sokka's unwitting help, but was taken down by Dosu's final attack. In the end, Sasuke saved the day by defeating Zaku and acquiring the Scroll of Earth. Now, Team 7 moves on to find its second scroll and pass the second stage of the Chunin exam. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for originals like Uzumaki Haruka. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech, italics thoughts, yeah darling go make it happen, take the world in a love embrace, fire all of your guns at once and explode into space, Steppenwolf, born to be wild. So, Kabuto-san, you must really have put a lot of work into those ninja cards of yours. Sakura's voice sounded needlessly loud to all of them, as Team 7 walked through the forest. Kabuto, who had become separated from his team and hooked up with them, strolled alongside her. Naruto and Sasuke had grudgingly accepted his presence, but their eyes never strayed far from the bespectacled Leaf Genin, the exam fostering distrust of his motives. Since the battle at the clearing, Team 7 had continued moving into the forest of death, but it was a tense atmosphere to say the least. Nobody spoke unless it was to give an order or report the results of a scouting jaunt. Sakura had found her attempts at conversation rebuffed by both of her teammates, and she still had not been able to muster the courage to apologize to Naruto. Not that this new, unfamiliar Naruto would have given her the time of day to do it anyway. When Kabuto had showed up, Sakura latched onto him like a drowning person, and pretty much kept on rambling ever since. It helped to dispel the growing emptiness that she felt, some of it, at any rate. If Sasuke had noticed her troubles, he kept it to himself, as always. Sakura found it a little ironic. Here she was, continually trying to find ways to show him she cared about him, trying to get him on dates, and she'd failed every time. Naruto had tried the same thing with her, and getting nowhere, apparently had now given up completely. Did that mean she should do the same with Sasuke? That thought alone had disturbed her into making 20 more minutes of inane conversation with Kabuto, who cheerily listened and offered the occasional response. For his part, Naruto still didn't feel like speaking to his teammates, or Kabuto, but he was feeling a bit better about himself than he had when they'd left the clearing. Contrary to what most teenagers would admit, parental pep talks do help, sometimes. Slow clapping interrupted his sleep from the moment he closed his eyes. I hear someone had himself a little dust up. Have fun? Naruto groaned. The last thing he needed after that colossal screw-up was a, oh stop with the self-pity, son. Who said anything about chewing you out? Erasure snorted. Believe me, if I was mad, you'd know about it. He sat up to stare, incredulous, at his father, who perched on the root of a big tree in the dream forest of death. Kazama Erasure waved a hand lazily, sarcasm in his eyes. Honestly, you'd think I sent you out there with an ultimatum to kick the crap out of every living thing in sight, or else I'd disown you. Even I'm not that sadistic. It doesn't change the facts, Dad. I messed up by attacking Ino, and then got taken out by that Nin. If Sasuke hadn't shown up like he usually does, I'd be worm food right now. So what? Naruto paused. So what? That didn't sound much like the words a Hokage would say. Erasure leaped down from the root, and sat down to face his son. You want facts? Okay, we'll do facts. Yes, you messed up on Ino, but since you had no idea she was there and you'd never seen her do that jutsu before, it could have been excused. Then, let's look at the odds. Even discounting Ino in the sound girl's body, it was 2-1, and both of them were relatively fresh, while you were still carrying injuries from Orochimaru. Not only that, you managed to whittle it down to an even match before Sasuke showed up, using nothing but Kagebunshin's, Kawarimi no Jutsu, Kunai and psychological warfare. Erasure grinned. Considering you have a lot less practical training, experience, and jutsus than any Uchiha would at your age, I figured on a far worse job than you wound up doing. But like you usually do, you exceeded my expectations. Hell, you shattered them. Naruto gaped up at his father's smiling face, unwilling to believe he was being let off the hook so easily. But in the end it was still Sasuke who finished it off. Erasure shrugged. Bah, you said it yourself. If he wants to play the hero, let him. Let's not forget that you were the one who bought him enough time to actually get up from that cursed seal. You took out Dosu, who might still have been able to do some damage to him if Sasuke had tried to fight 2-on-1 like you did, and they gave up the scroll, leaving you that much closer to finishing the exam. Remember the code, Naruto. The objective is always the key. Personal performance should take a backseat to accomplishing the mission. That's why they assign you in teams, and not alone. Now, if you can kick everyone's butts by yourself, it makes things a whole lot easier, but trying to do it when you don't yet have the skill level is only gonna leave you disappointed in the end. It's not healthy. Naruto relaxed palpably, only to feel a twig bounce off his forehead. You'll note that I didn't say this gives you the right to get cocky. I don't expect you to surpass Uchiha Sasuke or anybody else overnight. I do expect you to keep on doing your best to improve as the days go by, in small steps or large leaps, as the case may be. Glimpsing a possible opportunity to sneak in a jutsu, Naruto smirked. And you expect me to do that if you won't teach me anything? How many times do I have to tell you I know exactly what you're thinking? You're not gonna get any jutsus from me until you get out of the forest and learn your mom's taijutsu first. Besides, I already gave you the code. Is it my fault you took one look at Sakura and forgot half of it? This time Naruto had the good grace to look sheepish, before his expression deflated. I just don't get her sometimes. Granted, she knew I was making a mistake, but you'd think she'd be at least a little bit grateful. After all, I bought her precious Sasuke-kun enough time to play the cavalry. Oh no you don't. Erasure shook his head. I'm the last person you want to be asking for advice on women. You got mom, didn't you? Arashi's hearty laugh echoed through the forest. Son, let me share a bit of wisdom with you. It's a good thing that some women happen to fall in love with some men on their own, because if they didn't, I don't think anyone would ever get married or have kids. Face it, with a very few exceptions, about the only things most men will ever know about women is that they look different from us, pack a mean slap, and are at their most dangerous when they want to know how they look in a new outfit. You can't tell me anything? Naruto asked plaintively. I can't. Haruka might be able to. Suddenly, they were sitting at the end of the line of stools inside the Ichiraka ramen stand, watching as Haruka sat sipping some tea next to a young man who seemed to be her umbu subordinate. The man in question wore a long leather duster and wraparound sunglasses, even indoors, and clutched a tiny bottle of sake in one hand. He was very obviously drunk. So I finally did it. Haruka-sama walked up to Tenko, held the flowers out, and everything, he slurred, gesturing with the sake bottle. Then I asked her out on a date. And? Haruka asked, arching an eyebrow. Turned me down. What a surprise. She's never gonna like me, the young man observed morosely, pouring himself another shot of sake and tossing it down. Might as well just go join Jiraiya-sama's peeping raids. He stopped blubbering when Haruka gave him a resounding slap to the back of the head. Ikedo to Kazumasa. I don't care if you're in my squadron or not, or the master of blades or not. If I ever catch you peeping on the women's bath alongside that hat pervert, you're going to find out whether that mastery of blades extends to those that have been shoved into some very uncomfortable places. Just then, displaying the abysmal sense of timing unique to him, the pervert in question's star pupil parted the Ichiraku's curtain. Yo, Haruka. Ready to go and get a bite to? Arisha recognized two things upon entering the ramen stand. The enraged look in his girlfriend's eyes that appeared every time Jiraiya-sensei was mentioned, and Ikeda to Kazumasa, known in the Leaf Village as the Master of Blades, as well as the Dunce of Love. A prudent man would have run for his life. Arisha settled for trying to beat a tactful retreat. Damn, look at the time. Wouldn't you know, I'm late for an emergency meeting with Saratobi-sensei. Guess we'll just have to reschedule for some other time. He turned to go, but was yanked back to the stools as Haruka grabbed a handful of his robes. Oh no, Hokage-sama. If I have to sit here and listen to him prattle on about Misawa Tenko again, so do you. Haruka sniffed as she beheld Kazumasa, who was mumbling something as he rested his head on his arms. Men, are you all so dense that you forget women actually have a say in the matter? It's as though you come up to us with candy or flowers and expect us to fall at your feet on cue. Well, I did offer you dinner too. Arashi's grin was short-lived, as his girlfriend turned a baleful glare on him. Not funny. Just before Haruka's thrown teacup bounced off his forehead, it occurred to the fourth Hokage that Jiraiya-sensei's boast about being able to charm women with a joke or two might not have been the wisest thing to test at that particular moment. Naruto groaned in disgust. Did you guys ever do anything but argue? I'll tell you when you're older. Arisha snorted. The basic lesson is, if you really want to make a point to Sakura, it's best to make her feel as if she's the one in control of the situation. In other words, stop being so persistent and make her come to you. That is, if you even want to keep after her. For a long moment, his son was silent. Naruto had been chasing Sakura for some time now, and nothing had come of it. As unhealthy as his pursuit of perfection might have become, an obsession over this girl could get just as bad. Arisha decided to keep the outcome of Kazumasa and Tenko's relationship secret for now, lest the boy get the idea that another decade or so of persistence was all that he had to do to succeed. I don't know, Dad. I like her, but what she said back there, she's biased. You ought to know that much by now. Look, if you really want advice, I say just leave the whole thing alone for now. Mooning over her ain't gonna get you anywhere. Getting angry's only gonna make getting out of the forest harder. So finish your job, go train, and get it out of your system. When you're stronger, closer to Sasuke's level, there'll probably be girls lined up from here to the wave country chasing you. After a while, Naruto simply nodded. Why waste any more time with fruitless chases of Sakura when he could be training? So here he was, doing his job. Naruto scanned the forest again, trying to gauge the distance remaining until they reached the tower. For some reason, it felt as though they hadn't gotten any closer, even though they'd been on the move the entire day. He wiped a hand over his face as a misty fog passed him, leaving droplets of water everywhere. Wait, mist? It's the middle of the afternoon, and it's been hot all day. Suddenly he flashed back to the wave country. The last time he'd seen mist this thick appear out of nowhere was Zabuza and Haku. Mist means in the forest ahead then? No, or at least, that wasn't all that was going on. It helped explain why the tower wasn't getting any closer. Genjutsu, illusions in the mist, and we're all so pissed at each other nobody's noticed or mentioned that we're going in circles. Hefting a kunai, Naruto lazily scratched an X on a nearby tree, trying to look as inconspicuous as possible. 2 minutes later, as they continued ahead, he caught sight of it again. Unmistakable. We're trapped in their illusion. Leaning against the trunk he'd marked, he hung back and waited for the rest of the team to notice. They didn't. Sakura was so rattled by earlier events it escaped her completely. Kabuto was busy listening to her, and Sasuke. For once it seemed Naruto had gotten the drop on him. For once. You can come on out, eh? Genjutsu's useless once someone's figured it out. His shout drew instant results. The rest of the team turned around, realizing their mistake, as 3 forms coalesced in the mist ahead of them. It couldn't possibly be that easy. It wasn't. Kunai and Shuriken flew out of the mist, streaking towards the leaf ninjas. Sakura and Kabuto dodged sideways, while Sasuke ducked underneath the assault. Naruto went up, into the trees. Too absorbed in dodging the assault he could see, Naruto missed the kunai that sliced across his leg from a different angle. Merely a flesh wound, but it had the desired effect. Damn! Is it one hiding behind 3, creating those clones, or are all 3 spreading out and surrounding us? A deadly hail of metal filled the forest, thrown weapons flying in all directions, pinning the leaf needs in a withering crossfire. There was no time to figure out which were real and which were illusionary. They simply kept on dodging. Direct approach ain't gonna work. I can't tell where the real kunai are coming from. But if I can't figure this out, neither can the mist needs. Making him remember the wave country had been a mistake. His battle against Gata's samurai at Inari's house was coming back to him, along with a little trick. I got a riddle for you, punks. When shuriken aren't shuriken, what are they? Pain for our misty pals, that's what. Gauging the locations of the mist ninjas he knew, 3 shuriken were quickly dispatched at the shadowy forms. The mist needs dodged, but just like the wave country, Naruto hadn't intended to hit them. My clones, however, do intend to hit you. 3 identical clouds of smoke were all the mist needs saw before his true attack commenced. Naruto ignored most of the fighting, throwing the occasional punch at the mist needs for effect. They couldn't be Team 7's actual opponents. Nobody that stupid would have made it past the Biki's exam. No, his clones were fighting enemy clones, a distraction meant to draw their attention away from the real enemy, still firing kunai at their leisure. The blonde ninja instead made his way back towards Sakura, Sasuke and Kabuto. They want clones? I'll give him clones. The rest of you get out of sight, maybe try to work your way around and find the real mist needs. I'll duplicate you all and keep them occupied. They moved silently, leaving him to face their opponents with the familiar phrase, Kaiga Bunshin no Jutsu. Sasuke could have told Naruto from the beginning that something was wrong with the entire situation. As usual for him, he didn't say anything. Had it not been for his teammates' continuing refusal to treat him with any respect at all, Sasuke would have thought another ninja had infiltrated their group like Orochimaru had tried to do. This Naruto wasn't Naruto. There was very little shouting, and rational thoughts actually seemed to be going through that spiky sea urchin-like head for once. Not only that, he was actually taking a leadership role and doing well with it. Sasuke wasn't sure if he liked that. He couldn't have stopped Naruto in this shape anyway, but it still stung him that, had it not been for the other genin's actions in the clearing, he might now be dead at the hands of Orochimaru's minions. How would he ever kill his brother if his teammates were the ones saving him, instead of the other way around? The young Uchiha rather enjoyed being the one to save the day all the time, not that he would have admitted it. Having so many people look to you felt good even if it really was irrelevant to his goals. A voice lurking deep within him, one he usually ignored, whispered in his mind. Are you sure that's all there is to it? It was no secret to Uchiha Sasuke that he had many admirers, as well as rivals, but very few friends. Having to come to grips with living alone and a vendetta against your brother will do that. At times he didn't care. Friends needed saving all the time, and he didn't have the time or desire to go out of his way and pull someone's fat out of the fire. But did Itachi's path lie down that road as well? Sasuke didn't know why his brother had slaughtered their family. Perhaps, in the end, it didn't matter, as long as he was brought to justice. He just wasn't sure that he wanted to become Itachi in order to kill him. What would be the point? Even if he did want to make some friends, what were his options? Sakura was, well, a special case. He knew she liked him, maybe even thought she loved him. Did he dare to return that affection, knowing that he might throw it all aside when he was ready to pursue Itachi? Even worse, would settling down with her someday dull his edge, take away his determination? She just didn't understand that any real relationship between them would always come second to him. And, as always, there was Naruto. Once nearly useless at everything, he seemed to be growing by leaps and bounds each day. How soon would it be before Sasuke was chasing him, instead of the way it was now? Things had been changing a little. Both Naruto and Sasuke had found respect grudgingly growing between them, until the Forest of Death. Sasuke didn't have to be reminded that Naruto's last memory before he'd been knocked out by Orochimaru was of a scared, petrified boy who had been willing to fail the exam just for an uncertain chance of preserving his life. Not only that, his exploits in the clearing had had a definite effect on his teammate. Where there had been respect, and even a hint of friendship, now Sasuke only sensed resentment from Naruto, perhaps even outright hatred. Why did it even matter to him that they weren't friends, or even friendly rivals? It wasn't relevant. Only his brother was relevant. Wasn't he? For the first time in a long time, Uchiha Sasuke felt uncertainty creeping into the narrow focus he had shaped his world around. It wasn't a pleasant feeling. Shaking it off, he continued to follow Sakura and Kabuto deeper into the forest. He'd think about it later maybe. Back on the battlefield, Naruto had no time to think. Quickly transforming the 3 clones he'd made, he led his fake Team 7 into battle. Buy time, but don't get too close. One hit, and the clones disappear. Then they realize I'm the only one who's really still around. The whole thing had basically turned into a long-distance sniping match, both sides unwilling to reveal their true positions and resorting to volleys of weapons instead. The old Naruto would have lost patience by now and charged. The new Naruto was about 3 minutes from doing that anyway. He'd had enough of dodging a bunch of kunai. What alternative was there, though? Until Sakura and the others got into position, he could do little else but wait. Unless I make their jobs a little easier. It was easy enough to lure the Mist Nines out. He simply dropped to the ground behind a large root, gasping for breath, joined by the 3 clones. Now things were getting interesting. The stream of kunai continued, but this time they seemed to be merging. The bastards know where I am. Looks like the real Mist Nines think they can go for the kill. Naruto watched them close in, hazy forms becoming more and more defined. You'd better be on the ball, Sasuke. I'd hate to have to let your clone get humiliated by a bunch of cowardly knife chuckers because you couldn't do a simple flanking maneuver. To both Sakura and Sasuke's chagrin, Kabuto noticed the Mist Nines first. Holding out an arm to stop the Kunoichi's advance, he pointed a finger in the direction they'd come from. Sakura-san, look. Seems they're coming out of hiding. We should wait a moment, and then move up from behind. How do we tell Naruto we're ready? The Leaf Genin grinned and held up a blank version of his ever-present ninja trading cards. I think I can take care of that. Something was past Naruto as he prepared to tackle the real Mist Nines. Not seeing the dull glint of light off metal, he prepared to dismiss it, but took a look anyway. When he saw the little brown card stuck in the trunk of the tree behind him, he smiled. Seems that guy's more useful than I thought. Time to clear the field. Leaping over the root, he charged at the Mist Ninjas just as the real Sasuke, Sakura and Kabuto's attacks diverted their opponent's attention. Hey guys, forget me already? This time he felt the satisfying feeling of flesh striking flesh as his fist crashed into the jaw of the rearmost Mist Genin. His smile didn't last long though, as the other 2 ninjas rounded on him. Twin blows to the chest forcing him back and taking advantage of his retreat to escape back into the forest, leaving Team 7 alone again. Just as Naruto prepared to scream a frustrated curse, he stopped. Arashi's calm voice echoed in his thoughts. Keep your emotions in check. Best thing to do is compress all the things you're feeling into yourself, and think rationally. But how to finish it? Their ploy had failed, and now the Mist Ninjas would be even harder to flush out. Another hail of kunai passed just a hair's breadth from his face. Or maybe not. As the mist thickened, solid forms emerged again, but no kunai came from their position. Great, so which ones are real, and where are they? It was long past time to just cut loose and throw caution to the wind. Eventually the Mist Ninjas would run out of kunai. He just had to hope this little kamikaze charge wouldn't get him in the path of what throwing weapons they had left. Leaping forward, Naruto hurled a few more shuriken in the general direction of the Mist Nin before lashing out at the first form he saw. This time, he wasn't so lucky. The Mist Ninja blocked and sent him reeling with a short jab to the chest. As he rebounded off a tree, a flash of memory stopped him short. That didn't feel like the same punch, but it was the same movement. Same form, less power. Think, Uzumaki, think. Where have you seen this before? A bandage-swathed face and a massive sword swam before his mind's eye. Momochi Zabuza's first battle with them had begun much the same way, only more directly, and in the end Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. Water clones. Solid, but far weaker than the original. That's why the mist has gotten so thick, like back on Tazuna-san's bridge. They waited until the mist got thick enough, and then hit again. Only this time, their clones' attacks are real enough to confuse us even further while they hide and throw kunai. Kakashi-sensei had taken the direct approach and beaten up Zabuza's first few water clones. With fog this thick and 3 fresh opponents instead of 1. Team 7 could do that all day and still lose a war of attrition. They had to do something, and fast. Sasuke exulted inwardly as his Sharingan reduced the situation to a no-brainer. The water clones showed up in his vision as nothing more than blobs of chakra, while the Mist Nins fairly glowed with the exertion of creating so many clones. Should he tell Naruto, and risk incurring further anger from his teammate? It would finish the job more quickly. And after everything that had happened it was probably best to just let them all finish this stage and get some time away from one another. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, that opportunity vanished forever, and things would never be the same for Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto again. Naruto would never have called himself a genius, not even after learning who his parents were. Almost all of the successful battle plans he had come up with had involved him getting his butt kicked fairly thoroughly at some point, whether as bait or simply to make a point, like recovering his forehead protector from Zabuza. Erasure had called it a natural outgrowth of a lack of training. His son knew better. Sometimes adversity just helped you think. This was one of those times. There's gotta be something I can do without asking Sasuke to go blowing fireballs everywhere. In his condition I don't think he could even produce a spark anyway. Gotta find a way to end this myself. Think, Uzumaki. What happened to being rational? Dad said the code was all I would need to get out of here. Arashi's voice came back to him in fits and starts, but what he could dredge up was no better than a riddle. There was another half to that rational thinking rule. What was it? Only get passionate when you've got no other choice, and then let it all out. That can be a jutsu in itself. Clarity of thought is rare in the world. When it comes, it almost seems like a miracle. Zen masters find enlightenment in such moments. Philosophers find their one true calling, and ordinary Regular people just find themselves for perhaps the only time in their lives. In Uzumaki Naruto's case, all he found was an answer to his question, but it was more than enough. That can be a jutsu in itself, a jutsu in itself. Dad, you total bastard. You could have just taught me and saved yourself from thinking up 5 more rules around it. Suddenly, Naruto just had to laugh softly to himself. His father did, indeed, know exactly what his son was always thinking. You could have, Dad, but that just wouldn't be my style, and you knew it. It had been sitting right under his nose ever since the Sound Meme battle, and he had missed it completely. To gather every negative emotion within him, combine it with his fierce determination and passion, ball it in with his chakra, compressed to the smallest point within him, and then just cut loose. To turn his emotions into a raging inferno that would consume his foes, and not himself. Sasuke's arrogance, Sakura's indifference, the villagers' attitudes and unfair treatment of him, dark, bitter memories flashed before him, and then he simply forgot them, letting them fall into the growing ball of chakra he could feel inside. Now they would be his fuel, and not his burden. Today, I begin a new life. Konoha's going to see a Naruto they ain't never seen before. The seals came naturally to him, hands flashing to and fro in a rhythm that Arashi's or Haruka's might have, once upon a time. But when it came time to attack, this new jutsu's name was uniquely his. It should have been. As Erasure must have wanted when he left his son to figure it out for himself. His eyes opened, and Naruto roared in triumph. Nice try, punks! But as with life, all things must come to an end. Fire element. Naruto Bakuden no Jutsu, Naruto Bomb. Heat filled the forest first, a short thermal pulse, almost like the overture to a symphony. The enemy had no time to react to that before a white-hot corona of fire exploded from Naruto's position, flash boiling the water clones and sending the mist-neens flying through the forest to land in a battered heap, singed, burned and smoking. In that moment, long-held perceptions vanished. Kabuto's eyebrows rose slowly, the genin letting out a slow whistle of appreciation. Sasuke shut his mouth, wondering anew what this new Naruto was capable of, and Sakura gasped as she watched the explosion's aftermath, Naruto glowing faintly with an energy and strength she'd never seen from him before. Quickly searching through the mist-neen's clothing, he pulled out a slightly singed copy of the Scroll of Heaven. Then, panting slightly from his exertion, he looked up and winked at her. Now that's what I call going out with a bang. Well done, everyone. Kakashi's smiling face greeted Team 7 at the tower when they finally arrived. Kabuto had rejoined his group and left already, leaving the 3 of them to finish the exam. Where's Anko-sensei? Sakura wondered. It's classified, but since you've already encountered him, I'll tell you. With Orochimaru here in the village, we're suspending the Chunin selection exam for a while. Could be a week, could be a month, so stay ready, and don't slack off on your training, and Naruel, that's I. Where'd he go? Sakura looked around, and caught no sign of Naruto. Again, she felt a little twinge of emptiness, realizing she still hadn't been able to really talk to him about what had happened between them. Why did it suddenly mean so much to her anyway? Kakashi shrugged and shook his head in exasperation. I guess he's gone home already. If either of you see him, let him know we'll be meeting as usual once a week until the exam starts again. For some reason, Sakura felt as though she wouldn't be seeing Naruto again for a long time. As she looked back onto the Leaf Village, she wondered if he really had gone home. But at least one person in the Leaf Village already had an answer to that question. He hadn't. Hokage-sama? The third Hokage looked up from his crystal ball and searching for Orochimaru to see Naruto kneeling in a formal position before him. The village leader smiled. He'd known this day was coming for 12 years. Yes, Naruto? The boy looked back at him, that infernal grin on his face, eyes tinged with a hint of steel that hadn't been there before. I've spoken with Kazama Erasure, Hokage-sama. Naruto bowed, and then rose slowly. I'm ready. The third Hokage watched his successor's son for a moment, and finally nodded. Indeed. Rise, then, and prepare yourself. Your training will begin in the morning. Part 6, A Time to Go Home. Summary. Team 7, joined briefly by Kabuto, ran into a team of mist genins who confused them for a while with clones and water clones of all types. Finally, Naruto was able to decipher the riddle Erasure had left for him in the middle of the Kazama Code. Reviving an old jutsu, he gave it a new name, the Naruto Bakuden no Jutsu, Naruto Bomb, and won the battle by knocking out both the clones and the mist-neens all at once. Now, with the Chunin exam suspended, Naruto has free reign to begin training at the old Uzumaki compound. Disclaimer: I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for originals like Uzumaki Haruka and Ikeda Kazumasa. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech, italics, thoughts. It's my turn to fly, a proving ground tonight, try to be the best that I can. Grown to be a man only humans could understand, I fill my lungs with fear and I exhale. It's my turn to fly, father, be with me tonight. I'm right on target, keep your dream alive. It's my turn to fly, gotta prove this tonight. The urge, it's my turn to fly. People think of many things the morning after any life-changing event. That was especially true the morning after Team 7 returned from the Forest of Death. For most people in the Leaf Village, Orochimaru was the focus. Would their children be safe? How had the criminal managed to evade security and enter their home in the first place? Did he have anyone else working for him? Uzumaki Naruto, fortunately, wasn't most people. After scarfing down his usual morning meal of instant ramen and assorted junk food, plus regular milk, his last experience with the raw stuff had taught him a rather painful lesson. He pulled the directions that the third Hokage had given him from under his pillow. Go to the base of the mountain, it said, and then head east until you come to the Uzumaki house. Don't ask, you'll know it when you see it. As he headed out, the young genin looked up into the sun. Its bright rays were a welcome sight after spending 3 days in the gloomy forest. Today would be a good day, and rightly so. Maybe once I've gotten familiar with the training ground I can practice the Naruto Bakuden again, see if I can't learn to control the power and range. Otherwise I'll probably fry some poor genin when the Chunin exam starts again. The thought of turning Sasuke into a crispy critter brought on a little snicker, and Naruto whistled a jaunty tune as he strolled towards the Hokage monument. Across the village, Haruno Sakura rose slowly out of bed, blearily blinking the sleep out of her eyes. Getting a full night's rest in an actual bed felt like a luxury after living the forest life. The pink-haired girl winced as one of her remaining bruises brushed against the sheets. Luxury was not what she needed right now. Training was. Sasuke was still miles ahead of her, and Naruto had gone from a hothead with some power to a decent threat after only being knocked out. Sakura? Not even close. When had she become the third wheel of the team? Things had to change, or else she might as well just stay home. What use was there in being a Chunin if the enemy could take you out with scant effort? Now was the perfect time to start getting stronger again, with no missions to go on, and the exam suspended. She could go and ask Kakashi-sensei to tutor her, and she might even have a little fun in the process. It was the perfect idea. Feeling more energized than she had in weeks, Sakura prepared to leap out of bed and greet the new day. It probably would have been a good idea for her to untangle her legs from the sheets first, however. Ow! As she picked herself up from her little faceplant, it seemed the new Sakura was a little behind schedule. All the more reason, then, for her to rise with what dignity she had left, dress and head out to find Kakashi-sensei. The jounin in question was sitting in the Konoha infirmary, across the table from a grim-looking Mitarashi Anko. The examiner of the second test rubbed her neck as they both looked over at Sasuke, resting in bed. You think he's still around? Kakashi asked the other jounin quietly. Anko knew who her counterpart meant. Maybe not in the village proper, but he's close. Probably having his people bring him reports about what's been going on since he attacked the Uchiha boy. Orochimaru knows Hokage-sama would settle his hash if he took him on directly. I never would have expected this to happen, not least when there was an exam going on. Kakashi sighed, his visible eye closed. Orochimaru knows Sasuke's mindset well, maybe too well. With that desire to get stronger, he'll have a hard time controlling the effects of the cursed seal. If he should falter, the copy ninja balled his fists. The prospect of killing one of his own students to keep him from turning traitor was not a happy one. Especially when it was someone as talented as Uchiha Sasuke. Things had him spooked lately. From Orochimaru to his misgivings about the Chunin exam, the cursed seal, and even Naruto's odd disappearance, nothing seemed right in the Leaf Village. Hatake Kakashi felt a little guilty for not going to find the hyperactive genin, even though he knew Sasuke was the real priority. He's grown up fast, sensei, I wish you could see him. Naruto's come so far in such a short time, it's scary. He gets more and more like you every day. Arashi's prediction to his son had, indeed, been correct. Almost from the moment he laid eyes on Uzumaki Naruto, Kakashi had uncovered his former teacher's last secret. The child might not have been named Kazama, but his features and spirit told a different story. But what to do? Arashi-sensei had never told him to look out for his son. Indeed, the fourth had never told Kakashi anything about having a child. Should he have protected Naruto? The boy wouldn't have stood for it, as independent as he was. Besides, that would have been showing favoritism, not Kakashi's style. He'd uneasily settled on trying to keep the boy safe until he could figure out what to do. Things had spiraled out of control from there, from Zabuza to Haku, and now Orochimaru. When he should have been keeping his charges safe from harm, they had saved him instead, Naruto and Sasuke freeing him from Zabuza's prison, and when the criminal missing Nin had struck, he hadn't been there at all. Of all things in life, Hatake Kakashi hated not being able to protect his friends and comrades. After that incident he had to do a better job of looking out for them from now on. The only question was who to protect first, and how. Painful as it was, there was no avoiding reality. He needed to supervise Sasuke and work the boy through this seal first. The safety of the village demanded it. Kakashi only hoped that Naruto could stay out of harm's way until he could find a way to repay the debt he owed to Arashi-sensei. Forgive me, Naruto. You'll be on your own a little longer, it seems. At that moment, Uzumaki Naruto could have cared less what anyone else was thinking. Now he understood what the third Hokage meant when he said he'd know the place when he saw it. A tall wooden arch stood in front of him as he cleared the tree line, the name Uzumaki carved in beautiful hiragana on a wooden plaque at its apex. Beneath it lay a path of crushed stones, lined with stands of bamboo. And at the end of the path, it wasn't much of a place, as houses in the Leaf Village went, wide and spread out, rather than the tall apartment building he was used to, and its dilapidated appearance gave him an odd feeling. Was it regret? Loss? As he saw the third Hokage approach, Naruto pointed a thumb back at the residence. Hokage-sama, how come I wasn't brought here when my parents died? It's a big enough place, after all. The third sighed as memories of the Ninetales attack assailed him. Because of who the Uzumakis were, Naruto. They were the most secretive clan in the village, almost all of them umbu or retired from it. There are traps in that house that nobody other than an Uzumaki would know how to disarm or avoid. So many that, with most of the family gone, having someone take care of you here would be suicide. Perhaps once you have completed your training here, you'll be able to move in and make it safer for others. For now, I suggest you come with me. The training ground is separate from the house and dojo, and it's safer figuratively speaking. Naruto noticed the large wooden box the third carried under one arm as they walked around to the back of the house. What's in the box? Your father's instructions, both to me and to you. The third looked down at the box and thought back to the night he had received it. You look like hell, Arashi-kun. The fourth Hokage looked up from the scrolls he was packing into a box, to see his predecessor striding into the room. Yeah, if you're going through hell, might as well look the part. His face haggard, Kazama Erasure continued packing. Getting ready to evacuate? The third's half-hearted joke fell flat. They both knew Erasure wasn't planning to run. Don't tell me you're actually going to try this harebrained scheme. You said it yourself. This is a suicide mission. Without Haruka, Erasure gritted his teeth. This was not the time to fall prey to emotions. There was no time for anything but the job at hand. I can't kill the demon outright. The Tenchiken was one of the only ways we might have done it, and I can't do it alone. It has to be a paired jutsu. All that's left is to weaken the Ninetales and seal it away, then I'll join her. So you're going to seal it in a box? The third looked at the growing pile of scrolls within the container, arching an eyebrow. High-level stuff, hardly. These are for Naruto. If he's to become strong enough to kill the Ninetales, he'll need training. In my absence, these will have to do. I've written out everything I know, from what I taught Kakashi to what Jiraiya-sensei taught me. Stuffing the last scroll in the box, Erasure shut the lid and handed it over to the third. I hate to do this to him and to you, but secrets were made to be kept, after all. We can't afford to have him grow up weak, or coddled. If his bloodlines become common knowledge, he'll be a hero, a sympathetic figure. Know as much as I'd like people to know the sacrifice he'll be making, for the sake of everyone, I'd rather he grows up on his own, unheralded. With the Uzumaki clan almost wiped out, there's nobody to take care of him anyway. He's your son, Erasure. The third shook his head. Nobody deserves a life like that. At least let me try to find one of the other Uzumaki clan members out there. Perhaps the other senins would know. Believe me, sensei, I've tried everything. But without Jiraiya-sensei in the village, nobody knows where to find Tsunade. Even if we did find her, she's just a distant relation. No guarantee she'd return just to raise a kid she doesn't know. And other Uzumakis? Forget it. I don't know them, and they didn't know of our Uzumakis. Better to leave them be in their own villages. Besides, Arashi's mouth twisted in a savage grin. I never could resist the opportunity to go for a little poetic justice. This way, Haruka's son will get to take revenge for his mother. Not only that, he'll take the demon's strength for himself. No better vengeance than that. He won't be avenging you, then? Hell no. Erasure shook his head slowly, an odd smile on his face. After what I'm going to put him through, he's going to want to kill me himself. When he's ready, Sensei give the scrolls to him. They'll say what needs to be done better than any stupid will or letter could. As you wish, Hokage. The words were roughly written, a hasty scrawl marred by the occasional dot of ink on the paper. The third had handed Naruto 2 scrolls from the box before he unlocked the gate to the training ground and headed back to the village. He was now looking at the scroll marked Introduction. I don't know how to do all that dramatic crap, so I'll just cut to the chase. If you're reading this, Naruto, it means you're ready to start training yourself to kill the Ninetales. The place you see before you is the ancestral training ground of the Uzumaki clan, where the diamond body and invisible body taijutsu styles can be learned, and eventually mastered. Under no circumstances are you to reveal the secrets you learn here to anyone, not even your friends or teachers. Not only could it come back to hurt you, but well, your mom would kill me if she ever found out I'd let the Uzumaki techniques slip. Naruto kept his legs slightly bent as he strolled into the training grounds, still reading the scroll. He remembered the last time he'd been here, and wasn't too keen on being hit with another log. As he approached the spot where the dream log had swung out of the sky, Naruto stopped short, just in time to get slammed to the ground by a net of rocks. Where the hell had that come from? Looking down at the scroll, a loud curse escaped him. Time for your first lesson. Don't bother trying to memorize the course layout. The entire course is set up with a timed mechanism that switches all of the obstacles within it into random patterns every day. The only things that never change are the entrance and exit. Naruto could have sworn he heard his father's snide chuckle on the wind. Dad, when I get my hands on you, you're a dead man. Or dead Gastu, well, dead spirit. Oh hell, you're just dead. You hear me? Dead? He stopped yelling when he saw the next paragraph of the scroll. And don't waste your breath cussing me out about it. I wasn't the one who set this thing up anyway. If you've got the strength to complain, you've got the strength to do something about it. So get off your ass, go back to the entrance, and read the scroll first before another trap gets you. Painful lesson learned, Naruto beat a hasty retreat. Okay, now that you're ready to start, you need to make a plan for your training. You've got 3 basic choices. Learn the diamond body first, learn the invisible body first, or, if you're feeling adventurous, you can try to learn both of them at once. According to your mom, it's possible, but it's been a generation or 5 since any Uzumaki's managed to pull that off. Of course, as our son, that means you should have no problem at all with it. Naruto rolled his eyes. Ever heard of something called modesty, Dad? Take today and maybe tomorrow to get yourself familiar with the course. If you get yourself beat up some, don't sweat it. You'll get used to it, or you'll get so fast you won't have to. Once you've done that, it's time to pick up all the equipment you'll need to use here. A short list of odd items followed. Naruto scanned it, getting more and more puzzled as he continued. What did steel plates and ring weights have to do with a zipper-pocketed jacket and pants? Bandages he could understand, but why a ball and chain? There's a few pros and cons to start. The diamond body is painful to learn. I ain't gonna sugarcoat things. But you may want to either learn it first or do the 2-in-1 method. Hint hint. I say this because the invisible body can be misleading if you master it first. You'll get so fast that you won't want to absorb the punishment that the diamond body requires. If that happens, you've just cheated yourself out of a valuable technique. Wouldn't want that now, would we? Probably just wants to see me get pulverized for kicks, Naruto snorted. 2 days later, a battered Naruto staggered into the training ground, dragging a huge bag behind him. Getting familiar with the place had meant absorbing tremendous punishment from all sides. With the obstacles constantly changing position, he was basically one big bruise from head to toe. As for training choices, there really hadn't been any, not after Arashi's first scroll directed him to read the chicken scroll if he chose anything other than learning both styles at once. His father hadn't appeared in any dreams the past 2 days, so Naruto was reduced to grumbling as he opened the scroll marked dual path training. I'll assume you've got all your stuff and you're ready to get started. Step 1. Get the steel plates and ring weights, as well as the zipper pocket clothes. Insert 1 plate each in the shoulders of the jacket, and 1 ring in each pant leg. And of course, put the clothes on. Naruto clapped a hand to his forehead. What am I, 5 years old? No, it's not armor. Well, at least, it's not intended to be armor. You'll note that you can't move as easily as before. Don't worry, that's the idea. This builds up your strength for both paths. Gradually, you'll notice that it gets easier to move around each day. When you can move with the same speed as you did before you put the plates in, add another set of plates and rings. Quite simple, really. Of course, there's an added bonus. While learning the diamond body, you'll find that your natural danger sense will make you try to dodge the mid-air traps whenever possible. If you're trying to train toughness and stamina, that doesn't help you improve. The extra burden of the weights will keep you from being able to dodge as easily, and you'll be forced to toughen up instead. I knew he wanted to see me get pulverized. Step 2. Do 1 run through the course, to get yourself used to the sensation of being slowed down. Then go home. By the time you get through this first run, you probably won't be in any shape to do anything but get some sleep anyway. Says you, old man? Naruto rewrapped the scroll slowly, gauging the slowness of even this slight movement. Perhaps instinctively, he'd purchased the heaviest weights available. The set he wore now felt like an anvil on his shoulders, and it wasn't so much walking as it was like trudging through a deep bed of mud. No dodging, indeed. Walking over to the starting area, he knelt, gathering strength, and then he was off. Unlike the old training ground from Arashi's memories, pressure plates and other sensors had apparently replaced the tripwires. Naruto had no idea when or where to expect an attack. Running into the first clearing, all he could do was keep his eyes peeled. There, out of the corner of one eye, a log descending from the trees. He had to dodge. No, wait. Thinking back to Haruka's methods, Naruto leaped up instead, trying to meet the obstacle in midair. Unfortunately, he didn't have the benefit of Haruka's training, especially in geometry and physics. Curled up into a ball, Naruto did manage to meet the log. Unfortunately, he met it at an angle that bounced him right into a nearby cluster of poles and trees. By the time Naruto had ceased to be a human pinball, his father's instructions actually made sense. A bath and a couple days of sleep sounded damned good. Of course, he'd have to get through the rest of the course first. Oh, that does it. Too slow to dodge, too hurt to run. This course is toast. Gamely advancing, Naruto grabbed onto poles and tree trunks as best he could, feeling movements he could have done blindfolded turn clumsy and slow, missing paths he could have taken through the course just yesterday. It was rough going, frustration building quickly. That was all according to plan. By the time the exit came in sight, he could barely summon the strength to move. It didn't matter. One last assault loomed, and the genin could feel it coming. That was perfectly alright. He was prepared this time. Screw control. Give me some power. Naruto Bakuden no Jutsu. Rage and anger exploded outwards to meet wood and stone. Nature lost. The conflict was over before Naruto's shout had even had time to echo through the woods, dust and dirt blanketing the clearing. Scorched ropes smoldered, dangling in the air where the traps had been. What do you have to say to that, Dad? He unwrapped the scroll, wondering what Erasure had scheduled for the next day. Oh, right. Forgot to tell you something the first day. No Uzumaki clan means nobody to maintain the training ground but the trainee. In other words, you break it, you bought it. Destroy a trap and you'll have to put the logs or rocks back by yourself before the course will work right again. Axes and saws are in the tool shed behind the house, along with extra rope. Don't forget to lift with your legs, huh, kid? Dad. I'm gonna kill you. Somebody ought to warn that Sakura girl about your temper. Don't start, Dad. If I could move, I'd kick your ass back to wherever you were hiding for the last 12 years. Naruto lay on his bed, the dream shaping itself to his will for once. Well, except for the bruises. Those had stayed. Well, you've made it through 3 days. Pretty good. I thought for sure you were gonna pull a ghost girl. Pull a what? Naruto gingerly turned his head to face Erasure, leaning back in a chair with his feet on the lone table in the room. Well, she had a name, but it was so long ago the villagers had forgotten it even back in my day. I heard the story secondhand off another jounin, when I became Hokage. There was this girl in the academy who was born brilliant. The best trainee the teachers had ever seen, sure bet for jounin at a young age, maybe even Hokage, but she was bone lazy. On the day of her genin exam, she never showed. Turns out later she slept through the whole thing. They gave her 2 more chances, she slept through those 2 or just blew them off. Flunked out of the academy, never even made genin. After that, nobody ever saw her in the Leaf Village again. So we call her Ghost Girl, 'cause she just up and disappeared. Couldn't take it. Weird. I'd hate to be her parents. Naruto wondered why anyone would throw away the chance to be a ninja. You'd hate being her a lot more. Imagine the ridicule, the shame she'd have to go through. I understand why she left. Better to start anew, even if you can't be a ninja. Go find something else to do, get your mind off it. I guess, but doesn't anybody wonder what happened to her? Erasure snorted. You can wonder all you like, but you'd be better off getting some sleep and resting those bruises. Ghost Girl can handle her own affairs without our help. Some say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. In this one case, however, it began with a single, explosive sneeze inside a busy restaurant. Achoo! The petite waitress standing on the other side of the room started in surprise, and the tray of dirty dishes in her hands began to fall to the ground. I'd better not hear a plate crack, or else it's coming out of your salaries, slackers. Gruff and loud, a voice rang out from the kitchen, though nobody was at the window looking out. It was obvious this was business as usual. Less obvious was the lithe form streaking across the room to catch the falling tray in one hand, while balancing a similar tray. The offending waitress sighed in relief as she watched her coworker come to her rescue. Oh, thank you, Setsuna. Her savior was a willowy woman in her early 30s, black bangs drooped almost to her eyes, which themselves looked half-closed. Setsuna put her tray down and returned the dropped one to its owner. Well, I caused the problem, Mickey. Might as well fix it. Do you have a cold? Mickey's brow furrowed in concern. The raven-haired waitress shook her head. When she spoke, it was with an easy drawl, like she couldn't be bothered with health or anything else. Nah, must have been someone talking about me. Can't imagine who that could have been. Again, the voice from the kitchen. Get back to work, ya slackers. You can admire your tray-catchin' skills when we ain't got a lunch rush to deal with. Screw you, Slinger. Any thought that the waitresses disliked their target vanished when the customers saw the smiles on their faces. Simple banter between old friends, and nothing more. Then they turned back to their meals, and all was right again. Bartender, another round of sake for my ninja waitress. Saved me $50 in new dishes at lunch again. Slinger Ozaki, head chef of the Udanya restaurant, waved a hand in Setsuna's direction as she and Mickey lounged on the other side of the bar booth. How many times I gotta tell you to stop with the ninja stuff, Slinger? Not a ninja, don't wanna be one. Too many responsibilities, all those missions. Who'd want that life? She regretted saying it the instant the words left her mouth, as the cook went into his would-be hero mode again. You kiddin'? Assassins in the night, climbing walls like spiders. Shadows to the left, shadows to the right, you sneak up on them anyway, and POW. Mickey and Setsuna had already leaned out of the line of fire. Years of experience had taught them that Slinger's drink always came flying out of his glass at the height of his fantasy. The big man sitting in the next booth over, however, didn't know Slinger Ozaki. Judging by the look in his eyes as he wiped off the remains of a shot of hot sake, all he wanted to know was how long it would take to turn the cook into a bloody pulp. Slinger was apparently thinking the same thing about his opponent, from the look in his eyes. Got a problem, buddy? Oh, not again. Setsuna and Mickey looked at each other, and then at the ceiling in exasperation. Their roles in this recurring drama were well established. Mickey grabbed Slinger and yanked him out the back door with surprising force, leaving Setsuna to face the offended drinker. Hey, big boy. He's drunk, let it go. It's only sake. Setsuna groaned inwardly as, like most foes in this situation, the man simply looked her up and down. The thought that she might be a threat didn't even register to him. Thinking with the other head, are ya? Enjoyed the show? Then get out of here and drop the thug act. Don't go making trouble you don't need. Like most of the people she'd faced over the years, he didn't even move. I think your pal owes me an apology and a little exercise. You'll do, for starters. You sure, big boy? Setsuna's drawl had dropped all the way down to a whisper. I'd hate to be the one who had to tell his friends he got his ass kicked by little ol' me. Like to see you try it, girl? His sneer wiped the feigned fatigue right out of Setsuna's eyes. Her opponent stepped back a pace when he caught his opponent's new expression. Then throw down, already? You're such a tough guy. Make the first move. He didn't need any more prompting. Getting taunted by a woman half his size was more than enough motivation. A ham-sized fist sped at her face. It never got there. The few patrons still left in the bar gaped as Setsuna's hand shot out and seized her opponent's lead arm by the wrist, stopping it cold. A second later, if their jaws could have hit the floor, they would have. A deft pressure point pinch and arm twist left the big man kneeling on the floor in agony before the waitress delivered a short, brutal knee to his head, scoring a knockout. I really gotta find myself a new line of work. Rubbing her knee, Setsuna grumbled to herself as she walked out of the bar. How long had it been? A year? 5? This was the longest she'd stayed anywhere since things had gone wrong. Perhaps it was time to think about moving on. Absent-mindedly, she looked at the little box on the mantel in her apartment. It was a happy memory of sorts, a home that had all but forgotten her, and the one person who hadn't. Opening up the lid, she scanned some of the letters within the box. Hey sis. Things haven't changed much. We tried to talk grandfather out of it, but he's set on disowning you, and as clan leader, he can't be overruled. I guess you don't really care, but it still sucks. Hi again, sis. Hope you're doing well. Just remember to send the letters to Imiko's house. She doesn't have to worry about her grandparents scanning everything in the mail. I swear, ever since I started dating that guy I told you about, everyone here's paranoid or something. Anyway, let me know if you're moving and send me something when you get there, so I know where to reply. It had been a welcome reminder that someone still cared. She'd hated the life of a ninja, that was no lie. Nobody understood her when she said she'd do missions if they wanted, but preferred to live a carefree life. It was just too much pressure and nonsense. She could have done it, but with so many willing candidates, the village was set for life. What did one little genin matter? To her family, it mattered more than she thought. Only her younger sister had kept in touch, and even those letters had stopped. Turning the last envelope over in her hands, Setsuna opened it. It had only been read once, and she'd been running from it ever since. Sis, I don't really know how to say this, but by the time you read this letter, I'll probably be dead. The village is under attack by a fox demon, and nobody we have can stop it. Arashi-sama thinks he has a way to seal it off, but he's been at it for 2 weeks, and he's still not done with the new technique. Grandfather's dead, and so is Daddy. In the end, Daddy stood up to the demon more than he ever did to Grandfather. I guess he felt guilty about what happened when you left. Strange way of showing it, though. I suppose I should apologize. Been hiding a secret from you the last few months. That's why you're getting this letter, really. I need a favor, and it won't keep. Setsuna closed her eyes, shame bringing unwanted tears to them. For 12 years she hadn't read past this line, hadn't wanted to read the end. She owed no duty to the Leaf Village, or to her clan. But her sister can't be carefree forever, girl. Everyone's got some responsibilities. Past time you faced yours, instead of hiding here and kicking back. She opened her eyes slowly and, hands shaking, unfolded the last part of her sister's final letter. I have a son, almost 2 months old now. His father and I didn't see eye to eye on how he should be raised, so we haven't married yet, and he's still part of our clan. But right now, I'm about to go out there to fight the demon. I know I'm not coming back. Arashi-sama still needs more time. I think I can give him that. But it could mean leaving my child an orphan, and that's just not going to happen before I make backup plans. People here have forgotten you, even if you seem to think you're some legendary failure. It's safe to come back. I know it's a lot to ask, but I'd feel better about this fight tonight if I knew my child was going to have someone to watch over him when I'm gone. Should his father follow me into the grave, as that over-emotional idiot probably will. I'd be honored if you were that person, Setsuna. If you don't want to come back, I understand. No matter what you decide, know that I'll always be there, wishing the best for you, hoping you're safe. That's what family is for, right? Setsuna looked out at the moon as she slowly packed her bags. Slinger and Mickey had been her family here, but blood was blood. She'd been running away long enough. Time to go home, and hope that she wasn't too late to take up the duty that had been given to her. Time to go and find her real family again. As she prepared to leave, the letter lay on the table, its final lines burned into her memory, lending her resolve. Your loving sister, Uzumaki Haruka. Part 7, Journeys Large and Small. Summary. Naruto began his training at the old Uzumaki compound, and made it through the first 3 days, although he's currently sleeping all of his bruises off before he goes back. In other news, Kakashi decided to train Sasuke to overcome the cursed seal, while Sakura is on her way to ask for Kakashi's tutoring. While dreaming, Naruto and Erasure discussed the story of the ghost girl of Konoha, a talented, yet lazy girl who declined to become a ninja and left the village. That girl turned out to be Uzumaki Setsuna, Haruka's older sister, who was working as a waitress in a faraway city. After a bar fight, she looked through Haruka's letters and finally read the end of Haruka's last letter, which asked her to return and take care of Naruto. Facing up to responsibility for once, she has decided to go home and find her nephew. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for originals like the Uzumaki family. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech, italics, thoughts, everything's changing when I turn around all out of my control. I am immobile. Avril Lavigne mobile. Leavin', huh? Think this place ain't good enough for you anymore? Uzumaki Setsuna sighed. Slinger and Mickey's reaction to her intentions weren't out of the ordinary, but she hated long goodbyes. Between emotional stuff, tears and packing, this trip was turning into one big pain in the butt. This kid of Haruka's better not be some spoiled brat. Slinger, this doesn't have anything to do with the Udanya. I like it here, but I've got a job waiting for me back home. Can't just keep staying on here and running away from it. Mickey nodded. Always a sucker for a dramatic story, Haruka's letter had reduced her to several hours of tears and blowing her nose. Slinger, it's not like she's going away forever. Think of it as a long vacation. Yeah, fine. Look, I ain't your ball and chain. If you gotta go, then do it. We'll be waitin'. Slinger crossed his arms and tried to look unconcerned. Always awkward with emotions, he failed. Ah, hell. I know I sprung this on you guys kinda quickly. How about we go out for one last night on the town, celebrate before I split? That got Slinger Ozaki's attention. You're paying right? This kid really better be worth it. Setsuna mentally waved goodbye to her wallet. When the three of them got really worked up, budgets and accounts everywhere were liable to collapse in ruins. Later, as she walked on the road back towards the Leaf Village, Setsuna had to think back and wonder whether Haruka had heard that complaint and done something about it. What do you think I am, Slinger, a money tree? We are not going in the casino. Halfway into their night of partying and random entertainment, Slinger had dragged the three of them towards the only casino in the out-of-the-way town, still full of suckers and gamblers of all kinds even close to midnight. Said you wanted to live it up, right? Take a chance for once in your life. Just because you get a rush from blowing your money here doesn't mean everybody will. Slinger, Mickey sniffed. Honestly, if you'd save some cash once in a while, you wouldn't always be asking me and Setsuna for loans. Whether or not the younger waitress genuinely cared about their boss, Mickey almost always attempted to steer Slinger towards more useful pursuits and morals. Most of the time, she got nowhere. Ah, come on. Everything evens out in the end. When I hit it big, you'll get all your money back. Slinger turned on whatever was left of his charm. It probably would have left his two waitresses swooning, had they been drunk, desperate, and several decades older. For Pete's sake, Setsuna had had enough. Grabbing Slinger and Mickey's hands, she dragged them both towards the very first game she saw, a wheel that bore several odds multipliers on its face, ready to be spun. Once and for all, I'm gonna prove that this place is nothing but a huge waste of money. Pulling out everything left in her wallet, Setsuna slammed the wad of cash down in front of the young, pimply-faced worker manning the wheel. Step aside, kid, one spin and we're out of here. Setsuna. That's more than 3,000 yen. What are you trying to do? Mickey looked at the entire scene in horror. Teaching this idiot the value of money, that's what. I work my ass off for this stuff when I'd rather be sleeping, and he pisses it away here. So let him see what happens when people wager stuff thinking it's all gonna even out. Turning to the wheel, she yanked it down with a savage jerk, and then turned to go. I'm out of here. Before she had gotten 5 steps away from the wheel, a shout froze her in her tracks. Oh my dear sweet lord. Turning around slightly, Setsuna caught sight of Slinger and Mickey still staring at the wheel, faces ashen and gaping. Okay, what now? Hypnotized by all that fool's gold? Why you? Slinger could only point at the wheel, speechless. Setsuna glanced towards Mickey, looking for a saner viewpoint. She slapped her forehead as Mickey copied their boss. Why you? I what? You two gone bonkers? Then she caught sight of the wheel. The needle had stopped, pointing at the lone slice of the wheel marked jackpot. Well, what do you know? Slinger was right for once in his life. World's coming to an end. Setsuna looked at the casino employee, pointing a thumb at the wheel. What's a jackpot pay? 10,000 to 1. Hands shaking, the young man looked down at the pile of cash on the table. Roughly estimating from what you bet, you're up more than 30 million yen, ma'am. Slinger Ozaki fainted dead away. You gotta let me come with yes, Setsuna. That's enough cash to build a new restaurant. Hell, enough to build 10. Forget the Udanya, we could all start over in your village. What I say? Once Slinger had been dragged out of the casino, had water splashed in his face, and gotten over crying about missing his big chance, he had started in on Setsuna. The ex-waitress looked over at Mickey with a questioning expression. Well, it would be nice, I suppose. Things just wouldn't be the same with only me and Slinger here. Mickey smoothed back her frizzy red hair and giggled as Slinger got down on his hands and knees and started kowtowing. Besides, you know he's never going to quit begging until you say yes. I just know I'm gonna regret this. But it's easier than having to listen to him beg for another 6 hours or so. All right. You two can come with me already. Now would you shut up? You mean it? Slinger sprang up with surprising speed. Hold it, big boy, this ain't a free ride. I got conditions. Name it. Money signs were dancing in the chef's eyes as he awaited her response. I'm the boss now. No more of this slacker junk coming from you. Mickey and I work when we feel like it, as hard as we feel like it. I think you're not treating us with the proper respect, you're out on your ass. Got it? Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, Chief. Slinger might as well have been a robot, for all the attention he showed. Setsuna sighed. I'm really gonna regret this. A country away, Naruto was regretting something for a different reason. Preparing to return to training, he had gotten barely a block from home when he noticed a medium-sized cardboard box scurrying behind him, out of the corner of his eye. Ah, crud. Not those three. Flexing his knees slightly, Naruto leaped up onto the roof of the house across the street, intent on leaving Konohamaru and his two cronies behind. He normally didn't take Arashi's comments too seriously, but his training was important enough that the fourth Hokage's words sunk in for once. Nobody else could be allowed to learn the Uzumaki techniques. Whatever edge he might gain would quickly vanish. Still stiff from 3 days of being pounded by traps, Naruto couldn't move as fast as he wished. The weights on his shoulders and legs weren't helping, so he wasn't surprised when, 3 houses later, the box was still scrambling along the street after him. With such reduced mobility, there was no way he could outrun them. Bowing to reality, Naruto leaped backwards off the roofs, landing behind the box. No training for a while. All right, you idiots. How'd you find me this time? Konohamaru's muffled voice echoed from inside his hiding place. Leader, you clank when you walk. It's hard not to notice you. Would you get out from under that stupid box? Naruto bristled. He had to deal with the kids, but he didn't have to like it. It never fools anyone. While it was a good lesson for the 3 kids, Naruto probably should have kept his mouth shut. The box exploded as it usually did when Konohamaru was discovered, sending multicolored clouds of smoke billowing into the air as Konohamaru, Udan and Moegi were revealed. Leader, will you play with us? It's been so boring with everybody away in the forest. Moegi coupled her request with the deadliest form of genjutsu known to man. Puppy dog eyes no jutsu. Had Konohamaru asked, Naruto would have denied him outright, but the little kunoichi was too cute to resist. Besides, after getting beat up so badly, he wasn't too keen on going back to the training ground for another day or two. Yeah, sure. Just don't go running off too far. Dangerous people are still in the village, and I'm not in any shape to be saving your butts like last time. Yay, I'm probably gonna regret this, but what the hell? Naruto growled to himself as he followed the Konohamaru core in the opposite direction of the Uzumaki house. His actions did not go unnoticed. Looking through houses again, Hyuga Hinata jumped as the soft voice startled her out of the Byakugan, solidifying the objects between her and Naruto. She turned from her seat on a bench to see her teammate, Abirame Shino, sitting down next to her. Well, I thought I would practice. Niji-kun is always looking at birds, so I thought I'd try looking through things instead. He wouldn't like me copying him. Shino shrugged. You really shouldn't worry about what others think of you, Hinata. It's your life to live. Hinata twiddled her thumbs absently. I know that, I just don't like to make trouble. The ghost of a smile flittered across Shino's face. For once, I think he should follow Kiba's example. He couldn't care less what others think of him, as he usually lets everyone know. Hinata giggled. Teammate didn't have a true leader, but from watching the constant conflicts between Kiba and Shino, an outside observer would think the two boys wanted to settle the issue once and for all. Hinata knew they both respected each other too much to actually pull rank, no matter how many subtle insults they threw at each other. They weren't friends, but they'd band together before they let anyone else get the upper hand. Akamaru would bite anyone that disrespected Kiba anyway. Shino, I could give you a hive or two of wasps. Shino grinned. Forget it. With my personality, they'd probably turn on me first. Hinata's timidity was half a running joke and half a problem for Team 8. Shino normally said nothing about it, since he himself preferred the conservative approach. Kiba, on the other hand, oh, what's with you two? You got nothing better to do than sit around, then we ought to go train or something. Shino grimaced. Speak of the devil. Inuzuka Kiba, as usual, strolled up with the brashness that defined him. Akamaru perched on top of the Fang Genin's hood. What about it? Shouldn't waste this break time. Everyone smart's gonna be looking for every advantage they can get while the exam's suspended. And I'm no idiot. Shino snorted. Could have fooled me. Bite me, you bug-loving freak. Sorry. Dog blood doesn't interest the guys here. Hinata smiled as Shino and Kiba continued the argument, all the while moving towards their usual sparring grounds in the forest. It was just business as usual for Team 8. Still, her teammates had brought up some good points. Things weren't going too well the way she was now, unassertive and behind everyone in strength. Perhaps once she got stronger and more confident, Naruto would actually do more than greet her and move on. She shouldn't waste time. Knowing Naruto, his strength was growing day by day. To catch up, she'd have to be just as dedicated. Resolving herself to work harder, Hinata followed her teammates and went to train. Her dreams would have to wait a little longer. Daydreams were on the mind of another leaf ninja, but this time it was Nara Shikamaru. Leaning back on the balcony outside his room, he stared up at the clouds, pondering what the day held. Choji was off somewhere, probably stuffing his face to make up for losing a few days' worth of meals in the forest, and using the meat tank no jutsu against the sound genins. That was no problem. Unfortunately, his other teammate hadn't shown up yet. That meant he was about due for another round of Shikamaru! Get off your butt and let's go get some training in. We've got better things to do than sit around all day and stare at nothing, just like clockwork. Shikamaru wondered if Yamanaka Ino had been born pushy and overbearing, or if something had turned her into the holy terror of Team 10. If she'd been born that way, he didn't envy the poor sap that married Ino someday. Heaven help Sasuke if she ever gets her claws into him. He'll wish he'd chosen Sakura, all right. The platinum blonde Kunoichi glared up at her teammate, frustration evident in her eyes. Had she been less experienced with Shikamaru, Ino probably would have tried to possess him with the Shintanshin and move him herself. Now she knew it was just a waste of time. As usual, his slow response sent her temper soaring. The hell should I bother with that troublesome crap? Go train yourself. You can't go possessing everybody, and you don't know how to do anything else. Then I need a sparring partner, asked Choji. He can take the punishment, and he needs the exercise anyway. Arg. No wonder we're so weak. I've got a human vacuum cleaner and a lump that calls itself a ninja to work with. When Shikamaru was like this, Ino knew she wasn't getting him to go anywhere. If even Asuma-sensei had trouble motivating him, nothing short of dynamite was going to pry her teammate off the balcony. Shikamaru turned his attention back to the clouds once Ino had stormed off, not bothering to think about where she might go. It was such a pain in the butt anyway. As much as he liked Ino as a teammate, he wasn't fond of her constant pushing. You'd think that if I never talk about her Sasuke obsession, she'd leave me alone. Team 10 wouldn't have looked like this if things had been left to chance. Their parents had been looking to recreate the Ino Shikacho formation that had worked so well for their generation, and Irika-sensei had gone along. Unfortunately, the adults hadn't counted on the kids' different personalities. Neither did they remember that the three ninja formation had only formed out of years of teamwork in close quarters, building the trust and camaraderie that made it work. If Ino wasn't pitching a fit, Choji was kicking back and eating something. That made it tough for any of them to build confidence in the team. Adults, ain't a damn one of them that tries doing something for us without screwing it up. Shikamaru might have been a little lazy, okay, a lot lazy, but he wasn't stupid. The longer this experiment went on, the more likely it became that Team 10 would just self-destruct someday. That'd be troublesome for all of them. Maybe it'd be best if he actually did go and train. Once they made Chunin, the team might not stay together as much, and things could cool off. He might even be able to deal with Ino as a regular girl, and not a screaming harridan. Rising slowly, Shikamaru headed downstairs and out of his house, intent on finding Asuma-sensei. Just this once, for the team, he'd leave the daydreams at home. Halfway to the Akimichi house, Ino simply stopped and turned towards the forest instead. As bad as Shikamaru was when he got into lazy mode, Choji was worse when he had access to food. Yelling at him wasn't going to improve things, any more than trying to move Shikamaru had. No matter what the others in the village thought, Yamanaka Ino hated having to be the motivator. It wasn't fair. Sakura had gotten paired with Sasuke, and she didn't even have a cool, unique jutsu at her disposal like the Yamanakas did. Instead, Ino had gotten Shikamaru and Choji. They weren't bad, and they did get along most of the time. But the reality was that they were weak, even as a team. Weaker than Sakura's team had been, and probably further behind now, after what had happened in the forest. Between the curse-powered Sasuke and this new Naruto, Team 7 had made Team 10 look like exactly what they were, flawed and unprepared. Or at least, that was what it had felt like to Ino. It still sounded weird to her, even after a week of playing the memory back. But just once, Ino wished that Shikamaru were a little more like Naruto. The passion and tenacity in his eyes had been undeniable even when he was only the class clown of the academy. But when Naruto had turned himself loose against the Sound Nins, she had seen him go to a completely new level. This was someone who actually seemed to care about being a ninja. Granted, he was a little hot-headed, but it had to be better than sitting around daydreaming and playing shogi like Shikamaru. If Sakura hadn't warned her, Ino shivered. Naruto wasn't a clown anymore. He might not be in Sasuke-kun's class yet, but it wouldn't be for lack of trying. The looks of despair, then savage determination she'd seen in his eyes when Sasuke had rescued him had told her as much. In spite of everything, the blonde ninja found herself admiring, and envying, Sakura. She has two people on her team who'd be willing to die for her. And what do I have? Not a whole lot, really. Perhaps Shikamaru had been right about one thing. She didn't know much other than the Shintanshin, and that was a dangerous gamble. It was long past time for her to grow stronger, more than a threat to just one enemy. Once she made Chunin, she could let someone else deal with her teammates, and maybe find out whether a certain spiky-haired ninja would be interested in helping her improve. Maybe that will motivate Shikamaru's lazy butt. Many journeys would begin in the Leaf Village that day, revolving around the son of the fourth Hokage in some way. The most important one to Naruto would soon arrive, to take him along for the strangest ride yet, Uzumaki Setsuna. It's been a while. The third Hokage waved his guards off the ex-waitress as he entered his office. I take it you've reconsidered my offer to reinstate you at the academy? Like most of the Hokage's jokes, this one fell flat too. Hardly. Setsuna took Haruka's letter out of her pocket and slid it over to the third. It's true I'm taking up a duty, but this one's purely personal. The leader of the Leaf Village grunted an affirmative as he scanned the letter. Frankly, this is a surprise. Haruka never spoke a word about you in public after Kotaro disowned you. She knew better. Setsuna harbored nothing but bitterness towards her grandfather, and made no attempt to hide it. Told her before I left it wasn't worth antagonizing the family over me. I said the same to Sutaro, a younger brother and sister dead, and here she was, picking up the pieces. Setsuna couldn't help but wonder whether she'd have been standing here today if things at the academy had gone the way their family wished. The third sensed her hesitation. Before I take you to go find your nephew, would you like to go see the memorial to the fallen? Kotaro, Daigo, Haruka and Sutaro are all there now. So is your nephew's father, the fourth Hokage, Kazama Erasure. That part of Naruto's bloodline is to remain a secret from the village, as per Arashi's instructions. That's the kid's name? Uzumaki Naruto? Yes. Don't be too surprised. He may not look much like Haruka, but his spirit is all hers. Surely you didn't stick him in the old house. Setsuna didn't remember much about the village, but she did know how dangerous the Uzumaki house could be for the unprepared. Nobody would be crazy enough to live there, Setsuna. The third had been in Uzumaki Kotaro's house often enough that he knew the dangers. It had been hard enough to find someone to watch over Naruto every so often in a regular house. Well, I am, and he's coming with me. Past time someone fixed the place up again. Setsuna looked out in the direction of the mountain memorial, and down towards her old haunts. But my brother and sister come first. The third Hokage nodded. As it should be. You drive a hard bargain, sis. But I don't make promises I can't keep, so consider this that favor I owe you. Setsuna looked down at the names engraved in the rock, those ninjas who had died in service to the Leaf Village. The Hokage had left to summon Naruto, allowing her to be alone with her thoughts. Her eye strayed to Sentaro's name as well, as memories assailed her. Growing up had been something of a struggle for all of them, with parents and grandparents so often gone on missions. The clan wasn't well known among any but the most elite of Leaf Village leadership, but they were expected to uphold family standards and honor all the same. Setsuna had hated it. Haruka and Sutaro had coped better. And where did it get them? When she had refused her third chance at the genin test, Uzumaki Kotaro had made his displeasure known. Her grandfather had challenged her to a fight, agreeing to release her from the academy if she won. Only Haruka's intervention had saved Setsuna from serious injury or even death at Kotaro's hands. Agreeing to take her sister's place in the family's lineage and the duty of becoming an Anbu member, Haruka took up the burden that Setsuna had once shouldered. It seemed she hadn't looked back. Tracing her younger brother's name, Setsuna recalled a struggling kid, trying to live up to his ancestors' legacy, yet knowing that he was powerless compared to his two elder sisters. With rare exceptions like Kotaro and Setsuna's father Daigo, talent in the Uzumaki line usually skipped over men. Uzumaki daughters could produce brilliant children, but only for other houses. The sons almost always had to wait until their own daughters were born in order to contribute much to the house. From what the third Hokage had told her of Sentaro's demise, her little brother had finally had enough. For the only time in his life, he had equaled Haruka's exploits, dealing so much damage to the nine-tailed fox that it backed off for a week. Too bad he wasn't around to enjoy it. This kid Naruto would be different. He had to be different. No more burdens, nothing to live up to, just the freedom to become whatever he wanted. She'd give that to him, and hope it was what Haruka would have asked for. Otherwise you're great at guilt trips, sis, but you suck at giving instructions. Just stick around and help me keep him out of trouble until he's out of my hair, okay? That's all I came to say. Let's hope the kid doesn't join you guys here for a good long while, huh? So, Naruto looked at the woman in front of him with a skeptical gleam in his eyes. My aunt, Hokage-sama? The third nodded. Haruka's older sister, Setsuna. I've just reinstated her as the head of the Uzumaki clan. Wait a minute, a girl in exile? Reinstated? Naruto thought back to Arashi's story. That makes you the ghost girl. Setsuna arched an eyebrow. Ghost girl? Haruka was serious when she said nobody remembers who you are anymore. The Hokage shrugged. Of course, how much of that is Kotaro not being around to grumble about it? I don't know. Hold it. How am I supposed to know she's really my aunt? She doesn't look anything like my mother. Naruto scratched his head, pondering the question. All of a sudden I've got family popping up out of nowhere. First dad, now the ghost girl is my aunt. I'd better not have some gigantic inheritance nobody ever told me about. Well, technically you do, if you fancy running a restaurant. Setsuna grinned. Okay, I've got it. Naruto turned to the third. You said only an Uzumaki would be able to get into and out of the house unhurt, right? That I did, son. What of it? Naruto swung back to Setsuna, pointing his thumb back at the Uzumaki house. You want to show your family? Prove it. Get through the first floor and out onto that second floor balcony without a scratch on you, and I might believe it. His only answer came in the form of a flash of black hair going past him and into the house. If you're going to demand proof about something, kid, try and make the trial a little harder next time. Naruto gaped as Setsuna suddenly appeared, vaulting over the balcony railing to land gracefully on her feet in front of him. Geez, you must know a ton of jutsus if you're that good. What can you teach me? Nothing. Naruto's head made a dent in the ground as he face vaulted. What do you mean nothing? I only know taijutsu. Never made genin, so all those flashy jutsus and hand seals might as well be gibberish to me. Just a simple waitress. For the rest of the day, people in the Leaf Village wondered why a shout was still echoing through the woods. Ah, how come the only family I get is the kind that can't teach me anything? Setsuna only grinned, watching her journey into motherhood begin. I think you and me are gonna have a lot of fun together, kid. Well, I will. Anyway, still chuckling, she took Naruto by the arm and led him into the Uzumaki house for the first time. Come on, stop whining. I can at least teach you to get to your new room without getting yourself killed. The third Hokage watched them go, the Uzumaki clan alive again at last, and smiled as he headed back home. Things are getting interesting again. For now, at least, life was back to normal. There would be time enough to think about the village's problems later. Part 8, Sights, Sounds, and Souls. Summary. Several of the Genin teams resolved to starting training and improving while the Chunin exam is still suspended. Meanwhile, Setsuna, Slinger and Mickey all headed for the Leaf Village after Setsuna hit the jackpot at a local casino. They planned to build a new restaurant with the money. When Setsuna arrived, she proved to Naruto that she was an Uzumaki by getting through the trap-filled house unscathed, and Naruto prepared to move into his family's house for the first time. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any of the characters in this story, except for originals like the Uzumaki family. The characterization of the fourth Hokage is all my creation, as is his relationship to Naruto. All jutsus are also not my invention, other than the ones that Naruto will be learning as the story goes on. Speech, italics, thoughts, miscellaneous, speech, kids. You can talk and talk till your face turns blue, kids. But they still just do what they want to do. Why can't they be like we are? Perfect in every way. What's the matter with kids today? From the musical Bye Bye Birdie Kids. Hey kid. Don't just go wandering around, okay? Second floor's no safer than the first. Naruto blinked sleepily and turned toward his aunt's voice. He quickly turned around and dashed for his new room. Geez, Aunt Setsuna. Put a shirt on, will ya? Setsuna looked down at herself and then slowly returned to her room. She'd forgotten that she was actually living with someone now, and kept on sleeping in next to nothing. Don't tell me you've never seen a rack before, Naruto. His answer was muffled from coming through two doors. Yeah, but it wasn't one related to me. Setsuna didn't stop laughing for a good long while. Her nephew was still refusing to look at her when they met again at the top of the second floor stairs. I'm dressed now, you can turn around. Naruto didn't move. Setsuna arched an eyebrow as she looked on. You sure you're not mad? Setsuna, you dimwit. Here's this kid who hasn't had any parents, not even anybody who's supposed to care about him. Now he's probably scared you're gonna boot him out of the house cause he got a good look at your chest. Kid, it's all a learning process. I'm as new to this family crap as you are. Now, if I catch you peeping on me in the shower, I'll kick your ass, otherwise, we're cool. I just gotta remember to keep some more clothes on in the future. And possibly find someone to tell you about sex, cause I sure ain't gonna do it. Naruto breathed an audible sigh of relief and turned to go down the stairs. He didn't make it to the landing, as Setsuna grabbed his collar. Okay, Naruto. Lesson number 1 about the house is to watch the staircase. It likes to eat people who just go straight up or down without thinking. Eat people? Just watch. Setsuna had picked up one of Naruto's spare ring weights the night before, and now she tossed it onto a step in the middle of the staircase. In seconds the staircase swung downwards from the top, collapsing into a slide that led down to a cavernous pit. So what's in the pit? I really don't know. Nobody's been down there since my great-grandfather installed the staircase about 100 or so years ago. Your Uncle Satoru reckoned he once heard tigers roaring when the staircase opened, but I doubt it. There isn't enough sunlight down there, and we don't get enough unwanted visitors to keep an animal fed anyway. Probably just wooden stakes or something. Naruto watched as the staircase slowly began to rise, finally locking itself back into place with a soft click. The ring weight had disappeared. So how do I get up and down without going way down? Can't always bounce off walls and banisters like we did yesterday. There's always tricks to this place. For the staircase, it's math practice. Naruto made a face, drawing more laughter from Setsuna. If you ever want to survive the training ground, you have to learn a little geometry and physics. It's not only about blindly getting hit or dodging. Fastest way to get through is to use the course to your advantage, borrowing the momentum of the traps. So what's the math practice? Simple addition. 1 plus 2, and so on. When you're coming up, the first step is always safe. Then you skip a step and hit the third step, skip 2 more and hit the 6th. Keep adding 1 to the number of steps to skip, and you'll be fine. Helps with the number crunching you'll have to do when you start learning higher math. Wait a minute, that only covers going up. How do I get down? I can't remember all that stuff going backwards. So jump? Naruto wondered when his aunt had turned cuckoo. Just jump? What if there's a trap on the floor where I land? Ha! The kid's got a brain in his head after all. You know, you've got a similar enough build to Satoru that you could try what he used to do to get down. Setsuna took a running start and leaped onto the banister. Aunt Setsuna, what the hell are you doing? Just watch and learn, Naruto. Leave the screaming to some girly girl. He looked on as she slid down the banister, only to leap off halfway down, to land on the first step of the staircase. Simple and fast. Least that's what Satoru used to say about it. Naruto shrugged. Why not? Taking a running leap himself, he slid down as well, intending to just go all the way without jumping off. Then he heard the soft click. Oh crap. Before Naruto could find a foothold to jump off the stairs, they had already begun swinging away from him. He shut his eyes, flailing around for the edge of the hole that was opening up. Naruto, when I said you had a brain in your head, I didn't think it'd make your noggin swell. He felt a hard jerk as a hand latched onto his jacket. Setsuna landed on the first floor next to the staircase and let her nephew drop to the ground. No place for arrogance or cockiness in this house, Naruto. The minute you forget this place is dangerous, you're gonna get hurt. Your mom wouldn't be too pleased, and I'd be out of a job. So shouldn't you be going to work about now? I know how to get in and upstairs now, so it's time to go replace the traps I blew up 2 days ago. Gotta get the course to work again. Ha! Responsibility advice from a kid who wakes up at 10 in the morning? Setsuna grinned. You ain't the man of the house yet. Naruto's answer was no less sarcastic. You should talk, and I own a restaurant I haven't even started building yet. Okay, you win. Get the course fixed. I gotta check on Slinger before he has the crew build some 3-story monstrosity. As they prepared to leave the house in their separate directions, both of the Uzumakis felt good, but for different reasons. Setsuna found she'd miss the easy banter and company of a family. Naruto just felt lucky he finally had someone to talk to all the time that wasn't named Kakashi, Sasuke or Sakura. Oddly enough, they were about the only 2 people in the Leaf Village with anything to feel happy about that morning. Ikeda to Tenji. You get back here and finish your breakfast. People in the southern neighborhood of Konoha didn't even blink at the sight of a half-dressed 6-year-old boy running and jumping down the street, being chased by a hairy girl twice his age. Given that it happened every day, they were getting used to it. One old grandmother sunning herself waved a hand cheerily at the girl. Keep at it, girl. You'll get him one of these days, I'll wager. Ikeda to Tenten smiled at their family's neighbor before she turned back to Tenji's escape. As she did, her expression turned back into one of murderous rage. Being placed in charge of her little brother made Tenten wonder what she'd done to tick her parents off. Forget the rumors. The Ninetales must have made a stop at our house before it got sealed away. Her younger brother, Ikeda to Tenji, turned around in midair and stuck his tongue out at her. Naya! It's not my fault your cooking sucks, sis. Tenten suppressed a frustrated scream. I only burned the eggs once, you little brat. You didn't even try them before you waltzed out today anyway. Why should I? Suda's mom makes more sausages than they can eat. He always leaves some for me. Tenten reached into the pouch on her back as Tenji continued to insult her. That's it. I've had it. Grabbing a little ball inside, she hurled it off a wall in front of Tenji. The little boy had enough time to make one last rude gesture at his sister before the ball exploded out and formed a rope net, enveloping Tenji and pinning him to the ground. Stalking over, Tenten grabbed the end of the net and began dragging her brother back home. Go get dressed. I don't care if you don't want to eat, but at least put the rest of your academy uniform on. Don't embarrass the family any more than you already do. Tenten untied the net and threw the door of the Ikeda house open as they reached the front gate. Tenji, who was usually too surly to reply after getting caught, just kicked at the dirt before running into the house. His sister folded the net and put it on the table next to the door. She was usually too tired to stuff it back into its normal shape until bedtime. Use the net again, huh? Tenten turned to see her father lean his head out the kitchen door, holding onto the doorframe. Ikeda to Kazumasa was still wearing his sunglasses, even though the bandages on his eyes told everyone he didn't really need them. When's mom supposed to get back anyway? Oh, you know her. She usually only gets the quick rank B missions because of our situation. I make it 3 or 4 days at most. Kazumasa stopped his attempt to cheer his daughter up as Tenten slammed the front door and headed for her room. I'm sorry, princess. Tenten reluctantly trudged back to the kitchen. Her father had been temporarily blinded by a sword slashed to the face on an Umbu mission, while defending her mother. The Leaf Village medics had mostly fixed his eyes, but Kazumasa wouldn't be able to see again until the internal damage healed itself. From the doctor's looks of pity, Tenten had gathered it wouldn't be any time soon. Ikeda to Tenko had become the sole breadwinner for the family, and was usually gone 6 days out of the week, leaving Tenten as housekeeper and babysitter on top of her genin duties. She also had to make sure that Kazumasa didn't kill himself stumbling blindly around the house. Having him come up the stairs trying to apologize wouldn't have been safe. Daddy, you know nobody blames you. But Tenji's been taking advantage of everyone, and I'm getting tired of it. Kazumasa could still sense individual chakra auras, but not inanimate objects like walls and furniture. When he attempted to discipline his son, Tenji often managed to hide behind corners until his father gave up and left him alone. Tenko wasn't much help. Nobody wanted to burden her with anything when they saw how exhausted she was all the time. I honestly figured that teacher at the academy would have been able to do something with him. If he could get that Naruto kid to behave and make genin, Tenji shouldn't have been a problem. Tenten's thoughts wandered off as Kazumasa continued to ramble about Irika's failure. Unlike Hinata, Sakura and Ino, she didn't know much about Naruto. All she had were the rumors in the village, and what she'd seen in the forest. Oh, she'd seen that stupid prank he'd pulled by painting the Hokage memorial. But other than that, Naruto hadn't done anything else in her sight that was so bad. Why would he be such a burden on Irika-sensei? When she asked her father, he shrugged. I knew his parents. What's that supposed to mean? Kazumasa couldn't wink at his daughter, but his grin said it all. But 'tis a secret. Daddy, all right. Kazumasa dodged Tenten's elbow and leaned back against the wall. But I'd better not hear you tell anybody else about this, not even Naruto. His father and the third Hokage laid a bond of secrecy on me a long time ago for everybody's good. Naruto's mother was Uzumaki Haruka, my squad leader. His father was Kazama Erasure, the fourth Hokage. Kazama? Why isn't he named for the fourth? They were planning to get married someday. Kazumasa shook his head. Then the Ninetales showed up. Nobody knew how to get rid of the demon. Best we could do for a long while was to damage it, and hope it would back off until it healed up. The fourth finally thought of something that could kill it, but by the time he had it all figured out, Haruka was already dead. Our team had drawn the short straw to face the demon, and she wouldn't let Erasure pull her off the front lines. We got out there, and she saved all our butts, at the cost of her own life. That explains why he has no mother. But why would the fourth deliberately turn Naruto into an orphan? He didn't have any other choice. Without Haruka his first technique wouldn't work, had to come up with something else, so he went with sealing the demon away. The sealing killed him in the process, but it did the trick. You still haven't told me why Naruto's supposed to be such a handful. Before Erasure learned a little responsibility, he was the biggest practical joker in the village. His sensei, his teammates, even the third Hokage, nobody was safe. Smart as hell, but he didn't take too much seriously. They were taking a big gamble when they made him Hokage, and they were lucky it paid off. Haruka was the serious one. She wouldn't take crap from anybody. If you pissed her off, she'd let you know, and she generally did something about it too. Any kid of theirs, man, would he be a force of nature? Tenten tried to match the heroic legend that was the fourth Hokage with the sometimes hot-headed, always loud Naruto. Other than the hairstyles, they didn't seem that similar. Of course, his constant desire to be Hokage made a lot more sense now. She couldn't have known it then, but the words that came out as her mouth opened would change her life forever. If he's improved that much, you might as well hire him to keep Tenji in line. You know something, princess? There was a loud crack as Kazumasa's hand slapped the kitchen counter. What the hell? We've got nothing to lose, right? For the first time in a while, the Master of Blades and his daughter had a reason to laugh. With some luck their little problem might not be so bothersome after all. The fact that they'd be dumping their problem on Naruto was forgotten for now. Across the village, there wasn't any laughing going on at the bridge where Team 7 usually met. What do you mean, you can't tutor me? Kakashi scratched at the back of his neck as Sakura stared up at him, bewildered. I'm sorry, Sakura. Right now I've got to train Sasuke, and with his condition it's all I can do to keep him from hurting himself. Maybe you should ask your parents, or go find Naruto. Her flat expression told Kakashi what the pink-haired girl thought about that idea. I know Naruto can be a little hyper, but from what you've told me he's getting a little more serious about his duties. Besides, he hasn't shown up since he got back from the forest, and I'm too busy to check. Could you find him and let me know how he's doing? Sakura looked hesitant, but it wasn't for the reason Kakashi seemed to think was stopping her. The Uzumaki Naruto that had come back from the forest wasn't the one she was used to. This one made her feel strange, half interested, half scared. And for the life of her, Sakura wasn't sure she wanted to know what had happened to Naruto, and whether it was permanent. But without anyone else to help her train, she reluctantly bowed to reality. All right, Kakashi-sensei. Only it wasn't all right, as Sakura found out when she reached Naruto's house. The door was open and apparently, nothing was inside. It was as though nobody had ever lived there. If you're looking for Naruto, he doesn't live here anymore. The voice behind her echoed in the empty halls. Sakura jumped a bit in surprise and turned to find Iruka looking in through the front door. But Iruka-sensei, where would he move? The academy teacher shrugged. Seems he has a family after all. Naruto's aunt left the village 20 years ago, but she got a letter from his mother asking her to come back. Soon as she arrived, they both moved to the old Uzumaki house. Sakura could only stand and wonder about another odd turn of events involving Naruto. What was going on? You know, Naruto's aunt is building a restaurant. If you want to find him, she'd probably know where he is. Where would I have to go? Iruka smiled down at his former pupil. Hokage-sama told me where the building site is. I have to drop off something I was going to give Naruto. Why don't you come along? Okay, I guess. Iruka stopped them at an old building that was being torn down. Voices were coming from within, but nobody was outside. Sakura could hear faint arguing going on. Look, I ain't paying you guys overtime for a simple demolition job. Knock this thing over and let's get building. Slinger, would you shut up? Everybody just step back and calm down. I'll give you time and a half for today only, 'cause you had to deal with this windbag. But only if everybody leaves the building right now. What the hell for, Setsuna? Gonna blow the thing down? Remember what happened the night you got wasted and challenged all those lumberjacks in the Timbertown bar? Only from what Mickey told me the next day. Well, this old building has the exact same design flaw as the Timbertown did. Bust the two central supports, and the entire thing will come crashing down. So, you'll want me to destroy every post in the room? Not unless you want to wind up buried under 2 stories of wood and brick. I can do it. Come on, everybody out. Iruka and Sakura watched as a team of construction workers filed out of the building, followed by a stocky man in a chef's hat. The chef turned around and yelled something back through the door, but a shout sent him running back to where the workers had gathered. The two ninjas went a little closer and saw a woman walking back and forth on the ground floor, rapping every post in the room with her knuckles. Once she had tested each one, she turned around and cupped her hands to her mouth. Don't get close. This sucker's going down. Setsuna turned her attention back to the biggest support in front of her, going into an attack stance. A ninja she wasn't, but a very tough street fighter she definitely was. Taking a running start, she launched herself at the wooden pillar and lashed out with a spinning kick. You're standing in the way of progress. So hit the skids. The pillar disintegrated into a cloud of wooden splinters, accompanied by a loud creaking noise as the building sagged on one side. Okay, one left, and then book it out the door. Wouldn't want to leave Naruto an orphan again. Striding over to the side without a support, Setsuna braced herself against the wall before launching herself at the other support with a flying shoulder block. Well, old man, who'd have thought it? That junk you taught us in the training ground served some use after all. Summoning what she remembered of the diamond body training, Setsuna slammed into the remaining support pillar and blasted right through it. Now get out, girl. No time to admire your handiwork. Leaping through an open window, the ex-waitress kept on running until she was a good 200 feet away from the condemned building. She didn't need to turn around to know her work was done. The loud crash of wood and stone collapsing in on itself was proof enough. Pay 'em their overtime and then go back to the inn, slinger. We'll clean the place up tomorrow and get to building. Setsuna waved a lazy hand back at the stunned workers and her chef. Where are you going? The hell do you think I'm going? I'm gonna go take a ##%. Nap is what I'm gonna do. Haven't had to get rough like that in years, even with all the bar fights you get us into. Irika stopped her with a question as she turned to leave again. Excuse me, madam. You wouldn't happen to be Uzumaki Setsuna, would you? Naruto's aunt? What did he do? Irika blinked in surprise at Setsuna's quick, sharp response. What do you mean by that? Look, it's no secret Naruto and I are family. All day long I've been getting weird stares, people coming up to me telling me he's done this, he's a monster, pulled some prank or pissed somebody off. Some of them even say I'm crazy for raising a kid like him. As if they even tried to get to know him. I don't need to hear about any more grudges or be insulted. Save your breath and throw down. Mess with the kid and you get me thrown in. The academy teacher put his hands up quickly to ward off any violence. I don't think any such thing, Uzumaki-san. Let me introduce myself. I'm Irika, Naruto's academy sensei. Before you came to the village, I was the one who was mostly in charge of looking after him. Setsuna relaxed visibly. So you're the one who feeds him all that ramen. I swear he won't eat anything else. Now that the tensions had been done away with, Irika could let himself laugh about it. Well, I guess this new restaurant means I won't have to treat him to meals anymore. Teachers only make so much. Setsuna looked at him impassively, then shrugged. You want some food? You're welcome to drop in on this place after it's been built. Anyone who takes care of my family's a friend of mine. Actually, there's something I need to stop by your house for. Got a little message for Naruto that has to be delivered in person. Follow me then. Probably a waste of your time, though. What makes you say that? Irika and Sakura had to jog to keep up with Setsuna as she turned to leave. She tossed the comment idly back over her shoulder. Kids busy training in the family obstacle course. A team of jounin couldn't pry him out of there now if they tried. Sakura pondered that as she hurried along behind Naruto's aunt. What could he be learning that would be stronger than what he was doing in the forest? Looking at Setsuna as she strode into the forest, the genin wondered if another Uzumaki could help her train instead of Naruto. Setsuna's sarcastic comment to Irika had actually been wrong. Right now, Naruto wasn't feeling too great about the training ground. The rock nets had been fairly easy to replace. Heavy and unwieldy logs were a different story. Still, it was either fix the place or go back to reading scrolls like before. Picking up an axe and saw from the rack in the Uzumaki toolshed, Naruto strode out into the forest to find a dead tree. A conversation he'd had with Erasure the night before occupied his thoughts. Okay, Dad, spill it. You didn't even know the ghost girl was an Uzumaki? For once, the fourth Hokage was on the defensive. Hey, don't blame me. Your mom might have let me know all about herself, but when it came to her family, she could clam up as quick as anyone. Besides, she hated burdening others with her problems. Haruka would listen to you bitch and moan about something, but the only thing she ever did when you asked her how she was feeling was smile a little. Wouldn't complain for the life of her. Naruto wasn't buying it, as the look in his eyes told Erasure. She obviously had a temper, Dad. Mom had to vent sometime, and you were both probably too busy to scream at each other all the time. Well, Erasure hesitated. Should he tell the boy? True to form, he ignored his misgivings and plunged on. She didn't vent. Haruka had another way of dealing with her problems, as I found out one day spying on her. The dreamscape shifted from Naruto's new room to a clearing in the forest outside the village. Haruka sat on a tree stump, idly tossing a kunai at a fallen log nearby, then pulling it back with a string tied through the ring on its end. Wouldn't Mom have known you were here? Naruto's question drew a laugh from his father. I know you don't think that much of me, Naruto, but even a Hokage has some special tricks. Take a look at the third tree from the left, behind her. Naruto looked up and saw an outline of his father's younger self against the branches and trunk of a tree a distance from Haruka. Your mom was good, but she wasn't that good. I had ways to screen out light and sound with my chakra. If I didn't go making any quick moves, nobody could find me. Helps a bit on assassinations. Anyhow, Haruka always walked off when her father or her grandfather got her angry. I used to think she was only doing it to annoy Gramps, until the day you're seeing. Caught the end of another screaming fight between the two of them, and decided to follow her on a whim. A branch snapped in the forest behind Uzumaki Haruka, but she didn't seem to notice. The younger Erasure started as a pack of large wolves emerged from the trees in the direction of the noise, causing his outline to waver. What the hell is she doing? Those are dire wolves, not the timber wolves I've seen the Chunin summon. The fourth laid a restraining hand on his son's shoulder. Relax, son. That was what I thought at the time. She's about to prove us both wrong. Haruka turned around without any apparent concern. Naruto kept a tense watch, clenching and unclenching his fists. In the back of his head the blonde boy knew it was only a memory. Haruka couldn't have been killed here. It didn't make having to watch his mother in apparent danger any easier. Of course, that was before the danger vanished. The young Arashi's outline blurred again and Naruto's jaw dropped, as the largest dire wolf simply sat down on its haunches and fixed Haruka with an expectant look on its battle-scarred face. She smiled and inclined her head briefly in a gesture of respect. You're early, Pack Master. What is it you want of me? The dire wolf growled deep in its throat, ears flicking slightly backward. Haruka's smile was unfazed. Don't play innocent with me, Blood Fong. You never come here early unless something's bothering the pack. This time the leader of the pack lay down fully, head resting on its front paws and barking sharply. Haruka laughed. Bears? You've never had problems with bears before. What happened to those boasts about your sire and grandsire slaughtering whole packs of them? A faint whine was all Naruto heard, as the dire wolf's ears laid fully back. Oh, I get it. They send in the younger, stronger warriors, and now you want me to save your hides. One of the smaller wolves emerged from the pack, clutching a dead raccoon in its mouth, which it laid at Haruka's feet. The young woman's eyebrows arched. Asking me to face down a family of bears and the best tribute you could get was a tanuki? You're lucky the wolves have my favor. Rising from the stump, Haruka snapped the string off her kunai and tucked it into the pouch at her waist. All right, you lazy git. Lead me to them before I change my mind. Naruto watched his mother leap into the forest as the dire wolves ran back the way they'd come. You're kidding. Erasure chuckled. Welcome to the weird, wonderful world of the Uzumakis, Naruto. Otherwise known as the Nature Ninjas. Nature Ninjas? You never wondered why almost all of them were Ambu? They were the perfect killing machines, even without any actual man-made weapons. Other bloodlines may have their power in the eyes or the body, but only the Uzumakis had it in the soul. Every last one of them had an innate ability to commune with animals. Haruka's favorite was always the dire wolves. Your Uncle Satoru had an owl familiar, and Gramps Uzumaki kept some ravens. I still don't get it. Naruto turned away from his mother and the wolf pack to look at Erasure. Sure, it's great to be one with nature, but what's that got to do with the Umbu? It has everything to do with the Umbu. Erasure snapped his fingers, taking them to a model of a large house. Armed guards appeared on the veranda facing the rear courtyard, while other shadowy forms lurked inside, behind the shoji panels. Most humans are either too dumb or proud to admit that animals are useful for anything other than food. The Uzumakis knew better. Need a scout? Send a human in, and if he gets caught, you're screwed. Guards are alerted, and your job just got that much harder, maybe even deadlier. As Erasure spoke, the guards at the model house sprung into action, drawing swords and moving to cover all the entrances. But send a bird or a squirrel, and nobody even bats an eye. It can tell you exactly how many you're up against, where they are, and you keep the element of surprise. Now the guards went back to their original posts, some alert, but others asleep or distracted. Need to distract guards once you're in? Summon a skunk snakes, something people are always afraid of. They're too busy dealing with a little annoyance to realize you've crept up on them. By then it's too late. They get knocked out or they're dead. Naruto scratched the back of his neck. Learning taijutsu and stuff was one thing, but talking to animals? He remembered Hinata's teammates vaguely. One could control bugs, the other dogs. The idea that he might be able to do the same was just bizarre. What's this got to do with Mom and Aunt Setsuna anyway? Erasure shrugged. The forest was Haruka's refuge when the human world got too messy or frustrating. The rest of the family had an animal or two to speak with, but she became something of a roving problem solver for the creatures in the forest. It made her feel like she had control over something in her life, and kept her from venting in public, where embarrassing stuff like the ghost girl thing might have come out. You'd think she would have said something about Aunt Setsuna to you, at least. The fourth Hokage sat down, shaking his head. Some wounds run deep, Naruto. Deeper than even a lover or a spouse can reach sometimes. Living in a house with people as old-fashioned and inflexible as Uzumaki Kotaro wasn't easy for Haruka. I get the feeling she buried her memories of Setsuna deep inside as much to keep from reminding Gramps of his failures, as to keep from missing her sister. Telling me about it would only have brought back bad memories. Erasure waited for a response. When none came, he looked over to his son, sitting next to him and staring out into space. What's eating you? Looks like someone kicked your dog or something. Dad, can you miss someone you've never even met? The fourth kicked himself mentally. He should have known that using memories of Haruka to motivate their son would do this. Why wouldn't the boy hunger for his mother's love once he'd seen her, and discovered what had been taken from him? Damn you forever, Haruka. Did you even know what you were doing to our son and me that day? Why, out of all the duties in the world to fulfill, would you be so stubborn about fighting that thing? The irony was, she probably had known what might happen. Setsuna's arrival had made that much clear. Family duties aside, all the forward thinking in the world couldn't make up for a decade's worth of neglect. Erasure knew it had been unavoidable. Naruto had to become strong on his own, or else he would never be able to kill the demon fox. The fourth had logic on his side, but logic rarely trumped guilt. Erasure hung his head. When he spoke, it was much softer than usual. Yeah, you can. But missing someone can go one of two ways, son. You can let it get you down, or use it to make yourself stronger. Which one do you think Haruka would have wanted for you? I know all that, Naruto muttered. The scrolls you left behind are a big help, but it's just not the same. I do this stuff, but unless you choose to show up at night, there's nobody to tell me whether I'm doing it right or wrong. Even if I do get stronger, I wonder if that's even worth it anymore. You won't let me tell people I'm your son, and how many of the villagers would change their opinions of me even if they believed me to begin with? This is not about you, son. Erasure let the guilt pass for a moment, and fixed his child with a stern gaze. The becoming Hokage thing? You could give it up today, and nobody would think any worse of you. But the one thing I ain't gonna let you do is stop improving or getting stronger. Killing the Night Tails is your duty now. Can't just drop everything halfway. I'm not! Naruto shouted hotly. Who said anything about quitting? It's just a lot harder than what I used to be learning, and you can't help me with the physical stuff anyway. Well, you won't be doing anything physical anyway until you fix the course. Why don't you try and see if you can activate your mother's ability while you're off getting the logs? Naruto glared darkly at his father. Typical. I haven't even finished learning one thing, and you stick me with another. Erasure simply whistled, trying to look innocent. One hint, and one hint only. Your mom used to say that the secret to dealing with anything in nature was using your soul to do things. Once again, you've lost me. Figured out the last one, didn't you? Just remember. See with your soul, not just your eyes, for the eye simply sees what the heart believes. He's not a Hokage, he's a court jester. Naruto muttered an oath as he trudged deeper into the forest. So far, most of the trees he'd seen were too young or small to replace the logs he'd blown up. All the older growth was further back, towards the mountain. As the blonde-haired ninja walked, Arashi's next puzzle taunted him. See with your soul, not just your eyes, for the eye simply sees what the heart believes. What was he supposed to do? Walk up to an animal, say hello, and wait for a response? That was too easy, too simple. Putting it out of his mind, Naruto kept looking for a likely tree. Spotting a fairly old one, he readied the axe. Just as he was about to strike, chirping began to echo from the surrounding trees. It stopped the blonde ninja short, but when he lowered his axe, the chirping ceased. What the hell? Shrugging the bird calls aside, Naruto raised the axe again. As soon as he did so, the chirping started again. Geez, you'd think they were trying to warn me off this tree or something. The thought gave him pause. Nah, if you're going to warn a guy, you could at least do it in a way he can understand. Naruto smirked flippantly as he looked back in the direction of the chirping. Let's see you respond to that. Even knowing what Erasure told him, Naruto wasn't prepared for what he heard next. As he turned back to the tree, the renewed chirping suddenly became something very different. Bloody human! Just chop the tree down. Why taunt us about it? Who the? Another voice spoke, female to the first one's male. That's enough. If you're going to feel anything for the humans, feel pity. They know not what they do. Isn't it enough that they destroy our homes? Must we watch and do nothing? This time the female sounded exasperated. What would you do? Peck its face? It's pointless to speak of such things. Naruto shook his head. He had to be going nuts. As that belief arose, the conversation disappeared, to be replaced by chirping again. It can't be that simple. Was it that simple? As soon as he had treated the chirping a little seriously, taken it as more than simple bird song, it was understandable. But think of the birds as dumb animals again, and speech faded back into chirps. Just believe, Naruto. How is this any different from having to trust that Dad's not just a figment of my imagination, but Erasure, at least, was human? Naruto expected to understand what the fourth said. That doesn't stop Kiba or Shino from talking to their companions. If they can do it, why can't you? Just because it's not human doesn't mean it can't think or feel. Years later, Uzumaki Naruto would look back on that very thought as the one that had made him worthy of his family's legacy. The birds' voices immediately returned, still arguing. Taking a chance, he spoke. All right, then, what's so special about this tree? The clearing was silent for a minute or so before anyone spoke again. Did he just talk to us? And more importantly, did you actually understand that? Can you birds get what I'm saying? Naruto watched as a pair of tiny sparrows flitted out of the forest, coming to rest on a branch of the tree he tried to cut down. The male bird spoke first. That much I understood. If I didn't know any better, I'd swear the speakers had returned. Speakers? Did they mean the Uzumaki family, perhaps? Naruto chanced the question. Excuse me, was the last speaker a human woman, about this tall, with black hair? The female sparrow cocked her head at him, hopping along the branch until it could peer down at Naruto's features. Indeed. There is something of her in your voice, human. Where have the speakers been these long years? There has been no one to maintain order since the destroyer's time. The strong run rampant, the weak have no champion. Is the ancient pact forgotten? Naruto shrugged, shaking his head. I don't know anything about any pact. I didn't even know I could speak to animals until last night. For once, the male sparrow didn't sound agitated. Instead, its voice bore faint disgust. How far have the speakers fallen? The only one left is completely ignorant of everything. I didn't come here to be insulted by a couple of birds. Naruto's mouth twisted in a snarl. Maybe that's because my family was nearly wiped out, or had you forgotten? I'm sorry I don't meet your exalted expectations. Enough. The female sparrow fluttered down to Naruto's shoulder. As long as he is of the blood, he can be taught. If you have waited this long, surely you can continue. Wait a minute. You still haven't explained what my job is even supposed to be, or why I have to do it. It is quite simple. Some centuries ago, the first of your line, as well as some in other places, the original speakers, made a pact. In exchange for the ability to speak with and gain the trust of the animals, the speakers agreed that they would help to watch over and resolve the petty problems that plagued us all. Your ability to speak with us proves that you are of the blood, but with that power comes responsibility. If you choose to speak with the children of nature, you must abide by the pact. So what is it that I actually have to do? And does it have anything to do with this tree? I really need to get some logs. Speak with the ravens. They have always been the keepers of information, and can teach you what must be done. When you are ready, seek out any bird, and ask them to lead you to the ebon shadows. Okay, what about the tree? It is unwise to harm a living thing, even those you cannot speak with. We will lead you to a dead tree, if you so require. Let on then. Before I do, I would know the name of the future speaker, Uzumaki Naruto. The female sparrow spread her wings and flew back into the tree. Well met, Naruto. Let us hope we see each other again. It has been too long since there was a speaker in this forest. I can't promise you anything much, but I'll keep it in mind. Don't exactly have a lot of free time right now. It's your life, we know that. But even if we do not demand an answer of you now, such a time will come. When it does, you must make a choice. For the sake of all in this forest, we pray that it will be a good one. Naruto only nodded, walking into the forest as the sparrows began to look for his tree. As he walked, a smile played over his face. At the very least, following in his mother's footsteps would be pretty interesting. Even after lugging 3 huge log sections back to the training ground, Naruto was still faintly grinning when Setsuna, Iruka and Sakura arrived. Setsuna smirked as she watched her nephew try to hook up a 100-pound piece of wood back into its rope harness. You must be a glutton for punishment, kid. Even your great-gramps never smiled when he had to fix this place up. Naruto shrugged. A little sweat and dirt now compared to being able to kick Sasuke's, but someday? I think I can live with that. Our training ground alone is gonna let you beat that Sharingan kid you're always complaining about, among other things. Naruto spared an aside glance at Sakura. Let's just say that there's some stuff even a super pair of eyes can't copy. What more could he risk saying? Sakura was an unknown quantity. How much would she tell Sasuke of this? Still, she was his teammate. For now. Best to be charitable. What are you doing here, Sakura? She started, as if surprised that Naruto would speak to her. Oh. Nothing, really. Kakashi-sensei wanted me to check on how you were doing. While he's off training Sasuke-kun, that's all. Training Sasuke? That's great. That's just hashtag carrot. Great. Visions of Kakashi's battle with Zabuza resurfaced. The power of the Sharingan wasn't lost on Naruto. Sasuke was already far enough ahead of him. This might just make it worse. More training ahead. If he's going to be learning from Kakashi-sensei, I can't afford to slack off. No reason to burden Sakura with that, though. Well, just training is all. Nothing special. Putting the troubling news about Sasuke aside for the moment, Naruto turned and greeted his favorite teacher. Yo, Iruka-sensei. I see you met Aunt Setsuna. Now I can get all the ramen I want without dragging you to Ichiraku. Iruka laughed, but in the back of his mind he felt a bit strange. He couldn't deny that he thought of Naruto as a little brother, if not a son, after what happened with Mizuki and the Forbidden Scroll. Maybe it was for the best. He was protective of the boy, so much so that he nearly convinced the third Hokage to keep the rookie Genin teams from taking the Chunin exam. Instead, they'd passed their preliminary tests, and taught Iruka a valuable lesson. There comes a time to let go, even if it's hard on you. They can't be kids forever. The proof of that was lying in Iruka's pocket. Kazumasa's request had specifically asked for Naruto, and the Umbu member had classified it as a rank C mission. Knowing what he did about Ikeda to Tenji, Iruka wasn't about to dispute the ranking. Naruto didn't know Tenji, and the prospect of getting to do a rank C mission by himself would be too tempting to make him suspicious. Still, some lessons have to be learned the hard way. Maybe this will teach Naruto a little responsibility. Food is all you think about, huh? Maybe I should take this mission somewhere else. Mission? What mission? We're in the middle of an exam here, Iruka-sensei. Oh, that? Iruka waved a hand. Don't worry. It's supposed to start after the Chunin exam is over. The client doesn't mind if you do it as a genin. Geez, thanks a lot. I feel so confident now. Naruto glared at his old sensei. Fine, you're a big boy. Just don't go getting yourself killed. Iruka rolled his eyes and handed Naruto the mission form. 2 things. The 3rd stage of the exam begins tomorrow morning. A path will be cleared for all remaining teams to go to the tower inside the Forest of Death. Secondly, you've been specially requested for an emergency, indefinite rank C mission. The details are on that form in your hand. A mentoring job for 1 person. Payment will be discussed once you've decided whether or not you want to accept the mission. Another step towards becoming a Chunin? A mission just for him? Naruto had but one thing to say to Iruka about it. Bring it on. What if Naruto unlocks his parents' bloodline in the Forest of Death? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.